Hello, everybody, and welcome to the afternoon tune. I'm your host, Josh, and with me is my recurring guest host, Sage, from the Rated M for Immaturity channel. How's it going there, Sage?
Hey, doing good, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good there. Sorry about the late start there. Had to help Trump and
Oh, no
Musk out,
worries.
with that Twitter call. They're doing that Twitter space. Had to provide some tech support, get that up and running. I hear it is up and running right now, though. They're all good now. All the, I think, 5 people that could have actually able to get in there. But they are doing that right now on good old X, as they call it now. I still call it Twitter. A lot of people still do
I'm
call
still
it Twitter.
calling
Yeah,
it.
but there's that good old X there. But yeah, we got a good show for you people today. Gonna be doing Hunter. Finally follow up on that. We're doing the Green Island arc review there. And then we're gonna be doing a review for 2 video game stages. He's gonna be doing a review for X-Men Legends and doing a review for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the one from '04. There, the prequel game.
Both having their 20th anniversaries too.
Yes, it is its 20th anniversary there. A lot of video games, yeah. Any other big video games having its 20th year anniversary?
I would have to go back and look at what came out that year. I mean, X-Men Legends and Metal Gear Solid 3, both second half of 2024 for sure. God of War was 2005, I think. So, I'd have to go back and double check.
Damn, God
Um,
of War was 2000. First God of War was 2005. Yeah, wow.
yeah. Hey, we could do that next year. One year
Beyond
from
Good and
today.
Evil, this is its 20th year
Oh yeah.
anniversary.
It's
Uh,
taken that long since they announced the sequel too. It still hasn't come out.
let's see. This is some big games here. Games turning 15, games turning 20. So, Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance 2.
Okay,
Uh,
original Baldur's Gate.
what's another big one in Gran Turismo 4?
If
Uh,
you're a racing fan, that's a big one.
Halo 2. That's a big one.
Halo Chip, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Killzone,
Okay,
Tony Hawk's
that series.
Underground 2,
Oh yeah, that was huge.
Star Wars Battlefront, the first one,
Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2,
That's a
uh,
huge one.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas,
Yeah. The
uh,
second Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Super Mario 64 on the DS, Prince of
Okay.
Persia, The Warrior Within.
Then the edgy sequel.
Uh, some good games came out here this year. Fable. Okay.
Fable was 2004. You had the second Sly Cooper. You had
Mm. Ah,
second Metroid Prime game.
yeah.
Oh, Hitman Contracts. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. The original Thief game.
WWE SmackDown versus Raw. There was there. Yeah, that. Mm. Okay.
Yeah, that Chronicles of Riddick game that people always say is like surprisingly good.
Really? Oh, Red Dead Revolver. Also, Chronicles of Riddick game.
Yeah.
I never. People said that's pretty good.
I've heard people say it's better than any of the movies.
Huh. I mean, is that really that hard?
At least, well, no, but maybe Pitch Black. I think Pitch Black is decent. Um, but I suppose it's also probably aged some. So who knows how much it holds up today? But at least
Is
at the
this
time, I remember.
Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay? I think I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that's the one.
I do remember this. Oh yeah, I do. I think I do remember this one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember hearing people like rave about it. It's like it felt like Riddick was made to be a video game instead of a movie. Which, in a lot of ways, you think about that the way that the setup of like the night vision eyes and stuff, that kind of does make more sense as a video game mechanic in a lot of
Mm,
ways than necessarily like a power in a movie story.
yeah. But Pitch Black, yeah, that Pitch Black was decent. That was the first one, and then what was the third movie called?
I don't remember. I just remember thinking it was not very good.
Yeah, and then people don't know that's the film series with Vin Diesel. That's the other one he's slightly famous for, other than Fast and Furious, which that just dominated his whole life, and he's just been stuck playing Riddick. That's what it was just called, Riddick. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Pitch
There.
Black felt like it wasn't entirely about just his one character. He was like almost a supporting role in that movie, at least part of it. Like, I don't know, more interesting chemistry going on there for sure.
And apparently there's a fourth film in development. Apparently, so they're going to do a fourth one called Riddick Furia. So so they're gonna do that.
The horse hasn't run out of money yet, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, Vin Diesel. I mean, guess he's got to do something. I mean, other than Fast and Furious every once in a while. Triple. He can't go
Right.
back to
Well, that
Triple
one.
X. You know. He.
Fast and Furious is kind of letting them down now too. The last one didn't do so well.
Yeah, that is true. The last one didn't do so well. They were trying to like do a whole closeout of the thing. Like we're gonna separate. We're gonna do a two-parter. They're
Wasn't
gonna.
it supposed to be a trilogy? And then they were like, after it bombed, they're like, all right, we're only going to do one more instead of two more.
Oh, did they can I haven't heard that. I didn't know they were gonna cancel their plans to do, like, 2 more movies after that one. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I want to say that they were like, all right, we're gonna combine our plans for a second and third movie into just a second movie. So they're still gonna do that other movie, but they're gonna condense whatever they had.
Okay. That makes sense, yeah. Maybe people are just tired of Fast and Furious. Maybe it's time to move on there. Uh,
Either that or just keep it getting, vastly more ridiculous each time. I mean, if they put dinosaurs and Terminators and a bunch of time travel and going to the moon in there, I think I'd be back in. I'd be right back in if they did all that.
yeah, I mean, Fast and Furious, I mean, after that, I mean, they've clearly in the last movie, people don't because the last one was Fast X, and then
Yeah.
that was and clearly they're setting up Fast and Furious babies. That's what they're doing. They're with the kids and 'cause, yeah, that's what they're doing, and then in, like, 5 years, it's gonna be, like, Dom's kid and Paul Walker's kid and, whatever all their kids are gonna go, and then they're gonna be the new generation of Fast Food. I guarantee you that's what it was setting up. Like, it felt like an MCU movie of, like, they got these kids setting up
Trying to do their Young Avengers.
yeah, Young, Fast, and Furious. That's what they're gonna do there, with that one. But we
Do
got
they
some
call it
good
Fast and Young or Young and Furious? Where do they go with the title?
young FF, maybe just young FF there. Young AF, FF. So they may do that. But
Get
so,
some actual Muppets in there, then I'm all in.
uh, besides the reviews there, we got some good news here. So D23 happened this weekend. I wouldn't say anything really big popped off. Nothing like Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom from San Diego Comic Con. Nothing like that happened. They didn't bring out Chris Evans and say he's gonna be Black Panther or something, or they didn't do nothing like that. Nothing really huge. Just it was a lot of just like okay announcements of stuff that we already knew was going to happen. Maybe some things people didn't know, like Incredibles 3. They're going to do that. They're going to do a Toy Story 5. People already knew that. Lilo and Stitch. People already knew that. Snow White. A trailer for that came out. Moana 2. Trailer for that came out. Um,
Seems pretty expected as far as the roster goes.
yeah,
Although
pretty.
I have to say, the toys having to fight like iPads and stuff, there's some potential comedy, I feel like.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess they're dealing with what's the I forgot the girl's name. The new kid that they're with. I forgot the little
Didn't
girl's.
didn't they well, I guess Woody left at the end of the fourth one, but I guess not everybody else did. It was just him.
That's what some people
Is
were
that what it
complaining
was?
about, like, Woody's back, and even though Woody left, because like,
Oh,
if I remember correctly, didn't Woody was, like he joined, like, the other toys that just, like, are, like, off, and they play with all the different kids at the playground or something, right?
yeah. Well, I thought it was like I thought the whole idea was like kind of a theme of like sentience and really playing on how sentient the toys are and him kind of being like, I don't need to be a toy for a kid anymore. Like, yeah, maybe I'll play with kids at the playground and that'll keep
Mm.
me happy as a side job. But it's like kind of an I'm gonna go live for myself a little bit sort of thing. So if he's just kind of back in the house, that seems a little weird.
So, I don't know how that's gonna happen, yeah, because I think he joined up with, like, Lil Bo Peep at the end, I think, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, because that was his
Yeah, and
girl.
she'd been missing since like the first one, right? Or maybe the
Uh
second one.
I think so. I have to go back and watch them again. It's been a minute since I've seen them, yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit, yeah, because I think that was his like love interest was Lil Bo Peep.
Oh
That was
yeah, I watched the first one like last year, maybe again for the first time in a very, very long time. And yeah, those two were like, I mean, the weird amount of sexual tension, to be completely honest. It was kind of creeping me out at times.
yeah. Next year would be its 30th year anniversary, the first Toy Story.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
jeez, yeah, that movie came out when I was born. Yeah, Toy Story. Jeez.
Yeah, that'll turn 30 the same year.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So Toy Story 5 they announced. So a bunch of just like sequels news
Yeah.
there. Nothing really to. They did announce some original movies there, but not a lot of people that interested really about the original movies there. So we may cover some of that news there that happened. D23. The big thing I think for us was the Daredevil Born Again. They showed that. Um,
Yeah.
and but they didn't release the trailer for it officially. People, I saw it online. A lot of people did. Yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of people saw it, which I don't know why they just didn't release it, but whatever.
Because they got to know that stuff's going out, right? Like, no matter how hard they try, somebody's going to get some footage.
Yeah, somebody's gonna record it on their phone, even though they tell people not to. So that's gonna happen there. Also some news wise, I think, yeah. Also the Skeleton Crew. I don't know if you want to look at the trailer for that. That's the new Star Wars
We
series,
could.
the Disney thing there. So a lot of just Disney news there happening.
I can give you a
Um,
live reaction because I haven't watched the trailer yet.
Live reaction. Upcoming streams. So Nick is going to be taking over this Friday because I will be leaving. I'll be going out of town. So Nick and Dust will be doing the stream. Hopefully, they'll be doing a review for Alien Romulus. They'll be doing a review for
Mm.
that. Yeah, and it's we already did a review of Alien. It was its 40th year anniversary, so we already did a review of that. That's already up there on the channel right now. You can watch it youtube.com, the afternoon tune there. Are you going to check out Alien Romulus?
I think I will. I mean, I've been disappointed by many of the sequels, but I think from the trailers and what I've seen, I'm really impressed by, at the very least, visually. It seems like they've nailed the aesthetic. I think it's like a really nice return to at least what looks like almost entirely practical effects. And it's Fede Alvarez
Yep.
directing, who he did the 2013 Evil Dead, which also was like, little to no digital effects in it as well. So I know he knows what he's doing as far as like doing things practically, making it feel kind of real and believable. I saw some videos earlier today where they were showing off, like, in their workshop, they were showing off like the puppet of the xenomorph that they had made, and it's like I mean, it's like an actual puppet. It's like got like 17 people like pulling on it to get it to move. I mean, visually, I think this is at least going to be really solid. We'll see how the story goes. I I could see it being a little derivative of the previous films, which a lot of them have been derivative of each other past the first two. Um, but I'll accept just a decent movie that looks great at this point from this franchise. So
Freddie Alvarez, who did Evil Dead, he did that one in 2013. He also did,
don't breathe.
yep, he did Don't Breathe as
Okay.
well, but he didn't do the sequel. He just did the first one there. The sequel was a little too much. Then it's like that dude turned into like Daredevil plus the Punisher, and then he could, it's like, okay, this is a little too much.
Based on some of what he did in the first movie, I feel like I'd have a real hard time rooting for that character.
Yeah, that was the thing. They also kinda turned him into a hero in that movie, which if you watch the first movie, it's like, "Nah, this dude is just not a hero at all." Um, and so I guess it was like him going up against people who were worse in the second one, so I was like, "Okay, well, you can root for him," but
Oh,
yeah.
did they have two turkey basters instead of just one? Is that what made it
You never
worse?
saw the sequel?
No, I never did see the sequel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was in the sequel, it was he had this little girl, and then her parents were, like, shitty and then, like, super abusive or something, and then so he had to, like, go get her back and things
Huh.
like that, so, yeah.
Weird direction.
Yeah,
Weird direction for that
it
character.
was it was very strange there. And hey, how's it going there, man? Rampage, how's it going there? Much appreciated, man. Thanks for stopping by there. So he also did that, yeah. And the only one of his movies I didn't see was The Girl in the Spider's Web. I did not see that
I've not seen that either.
one. Is that from the like the girl with the dragon tattoo? Is that from that series of things? Um,
It. I don't think so, but
oh,
I'm.
okay, yeah. So it says the film acts as a soft reboot slash sequel to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about with that franchise.
Yeah, so yeah, I saw the movie with the girl, and I was all right. I thought it was good, and I didn't
The
see
American one or the Swedish one?
the American one with David Fincher,
Okay.
and I thought that was
The
all right.
Swedish one, they did like the whole they did like all of them. They did like a whole series of
Okay.
movies that adapted all the books in a row.
Yeah. Didn't they do a also another sequel? Didn't they do it like a sequel to that one, the direct sequel to Girl with the Dragon 2, the American one? Or am I mistaken?
Um, I
Mm,
thought that one only got the one, but I again I could be wrong.
okay, I think maybe it did, yeah. I don't know, maybe just it just, I guess, didn't do well in the box office, I guess, that one. Well, no, it did
Yeah, I think
pretty
so.
because the budget on this was 90,000,000, box office 239,000,000, so it did alright.
Oh, huh,
Did pretty
interesting.
solid.
Yeah, I wonder why they didn't do a direct follow up.
Mm, okay, yeah, weird. And it was directed by David Fincher there. Probably one of the most forgotten David Fincher movies, I'd say, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think when people talk about his
Yeah,
filmography there. Yeah, so
probably
he did.
talked about more than Alien 3 though.
Yeah, that's true. And so, yeah, so he did that. Yeah, so he's coming back, Alien Romulus. He's a director, writer on this. See how he does with this project there. That's what we'll be doing a review for Nick and Dust there Friday. No stream planned for Saturday, Sunday. No stream Monday there because I'll still be out there. Maybe come back Wednesday and do the rest of Hunter, and then whatever news there follows that. So yeah. But Sage, let people know where they can find it, what you got going on, man, your channel, everything like that.
Yeah. You can find me over at Rated M for Immaturity on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all under that exact same name. Tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Gollum, which is man, no matter how much you heard about how bad that game is, I promise you, it's as bad or worse than your impression of it has told you.
Well, yeah,
It
I mean, you're
is.
glitching through the floor right here. His
Yeah,
foot's all
yeah.
the way
Just look
down,
at his hair too. His hair
like
is just like
glitching through.
boom, 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 vibrating. Yeah, no, just, I mean, terrible game, just awful in every conceivable way. The voice acting, the graphics, the gameplay, like the controls fight you at every turn. But fantastic roasting material. So we're having a lot of fun. We'll probably be playing that at least for sure this week and next week. Otherwise, on Saturdays, we do another show. We just started a new game, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which is a like Chinese mythology game inspired by Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That's super cool. Just got into that. And then I believe it says every other Friday we do Baldur's Gate 3 with a couple of our hosts, and I believe that's every other Friday. I believe that is on for this Friday.
Cool stuff there. This is your Twitch channel right here, and you're also on YouTube, same name, rated M for
Yep.
immaturity as well here. Almost at 500. Very nice there. Twitch channel.
Close.
Very, very getting close there. And let me pull up your YouTube here. Very nice. And this is your YouTube right here. Oh, and go back. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, into 100. Get to 100 pretty easy. Not that far away. And you're
Oh,
uploading,
a quarter of the way there.
yeah, uploading streams as well there on the YouTube channel. If people don't follow you
Oh yeah,
there, very nice. So on
huge
all the
backlog.
games,
I don't even know how many games we've played at this point.
yeah, it's a pretty extensive list right here. Mm, yeah, pretty extensive. All type of different ranges of games. If people want to check that out, they can do so. Rated M for immaturity. Just type that in YouTube, and you'll be able to find them. Give them a
Got
subscription
about
there.
11 different rotating guest hosts, so it's almost every time you're on, it's a completely different group of people having a conversation.
Yeah, it's always fun there. Nice roulette there playing. Oh, yeah, very cool. Yeah, so that's what the agenda is for today. It's what the agenda is in the future there, what we could do stream wise there. So yeah, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm gonna let Sage, I'm gonna put my videos for these reviews here. He's gonna do these quick video game reviews. Then we might do some news, and then we'll do the Hunter to close it out. And yeah, and then of course, as always, I'm gonna be rating somebody. If people like Rampage or Sage, anybody in the chat, any suggestions, please let me know. I'll go ahead and give them a raid there. Cosmopolitics is on right now. I think she's covering the whole Twitter space thing, what's going on with Elon Musk and Donald Trump there. Mini Portable's on right now, watching that wrestling as she always does. And then Gina Darling's on as well there. I don't know if anybody's on your side that you wanted me to raid afterwards there.
I'll definitely pull it up so I can check.
Yeah. Brian Lee O'Malley, the guy who's creative Scott Pilgrim, he's on right now.
Oh wow,
Yeah. He
no,
just
he's
does a
on
bunch of
Twitch.
drawings. That's what he just typically does. I just found out he
Very
had a
cool.
Twitch. And yeah, he just goes ahead and draws. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. We're oh yeah, I reviewed that with you, right? The Scott Pilgrim on
Yep.
Netflix. Yep, I reviewed
Yeah,
that with
yeah,
you.
that was you and me. It was Science Saru's most recently released project.
Yeah. Um so yeah. And I mean, yeah, we were big fans of it. I loved it a lot. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was really strong. I mean, it's a creator in his 40s revisiting his own work from when he was in his 20s, and I think it's just such a cool introspective kind of look at a piece of art and a story, and kind of just kind of telling it again, but in the lens that you are, 20 years later.
Yeah. I'm gonna put here. I put this the last time I was on the stream. Let's say if he responds to it now. I'm gonna say when are we getting a season 2 of the show? Let's see if he responds to it here. Yeah. Because I do want a season 2 of the show, and I know they said that there's no active plans right now.
Yeah, well, Science Saru, I know I've probably said this before, but Science Saru is maybe the only
Okay, how
anime
does one hold a
studio
pizza?
in Japan that I'm aware of that gives its employees like time off and doesn't crunch them super hard. Um, they've produced a few things: Devilman Crybaby, the Scott Pilgrim series, Inuo is a movie they did. Dan to Dan is going to be their new show coming up in October, and they just recently announced a Ghost in the Shell project that'll be coming out in 2026. But they actually have a couple of years in between what they do. And so Scott Pilgrim being one of their many things, yeah, highly encourage people to just go support that studio and the work that they put out, because they're kind of the only one in the industry focusing on some sort of work-life balance for these animators.
That's very good to hear. And if people don't, know about Scott Pilgrim, I highly recommend checking out Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Very different from the comic and very different from the film there. And I love the film by Edgar Wright. Very great film there. Scott Pilgrim versus the World there. One of
Oh yeah.
Edgar Wright at his best there with that movie. He really knocked it out of the park. He's doing another movie upcoming, I think, with Glenn Powell. He's going to do a movie there.
Okay.
Yes, he's going to do that. So yeah. Good stuff there. We're gonna, of course, rate somebody after this. Hopefully, these people are still on. Maybe give them a rate. Not, I'll take any suggestions there. All right here, Sage. Which one did you want to do first? Here, did you want to do Metal Gear first?
Sure. Why don't we do Metal first?
Okay. So since it is the 20th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, also there's going to be a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 coming out next year. Of it at time there. Do you know exactly what time next year?
It doesn't have a date yet. And in fact, I think if you look at like official trailers and stuff, I think they even had 2024 attached as a release window. So I think they don't know yet. I think they're probably still far enough away that they're not 100% sure. I imagine we well no, because that's Jeff Keighley, and Jeff Keighley has beef with Konami. So I don't know. I don't know when we'll find out.
Why does he have beef with
It's
Konami?
Well, Jeff Keighley is like super, super good friends with Hideo Kojima, and like has him at all of his
Hmm.
stuff. And back in 2015, when the Phantom Pain, right, the Metal Gear Solid 5 was coming out, and there was the PT Silent Hill thing, and Hideo Kojima and Konami had this big public falling out, and Konami started like taking his name off of his own work on like their websites and like promotional material. And then that year at the Game Awards, Konami, like, I don't know exactly how the specifics of it worked, but somehow they were able to legally bar Kojima from going to the Game Awards to accept an award for Metal Gear Solid 5, his own game. And even then, that year, Jeff Keighley got out on stage and was just like, started kind of talking a little bit of shit about Konami at his show. And ever since then, he just there's just been like a Konami staff does not show up at a Jeff Keighley event. It has been a rule ever since. Maybe they'll make up at some point. Maybe they'll
Mhm.
maybe things will change. But
Okay,
yeah,
taking beef, yeah, it's like, "Yeah, don't you pick on my man. That's my
that's
guy."
exactly.
So yeah, what do you have to say about Metal Gear Solid 3: Snake Eater, the original?
Well, I'm not going to pretend that I don't love this game and that I'm not super biased towards it. I have my tattoo right here from the game logo, so you know, uh, it might be somewhat rose-tinted glasses I look at this game with, just a little bit. Um, Now, I was curious to ask you, do you have any familiarity with Metal Gear as a franchise, really?
The only game I've ever played and finished of Metal Gear, well, actually, no, the only one I finished is, Guns of the Patriot. Is the one I finished.
Okay.
And
That
then I've
might have been, I wonder if that was a little confusing at the time.
and I've played Phantom Pain.
That one's super long. But Metal Gear Solid 3, personally, this is my favorite in the franchise. It was what, November 2004 this came out. This was such a breath of fresh air for this franchise. To quote David Hayter, the iconic voice behind Snake, this franchise, even going back to like the Metal Gear 1 and 2, right, which were like 8-bit games on like the MSX and the Nintendo, those games and one and Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, they have this very like, they're sci-fi, they're futuristic technology, very science fiction settings, and this still has sci-fi elements too. But it is the only game in the franchise to have this kind of retro 60s. It's doing a little bit of a James Bond thing. I mean, there's even, this very iconic Snake Eater theme song near the beginning of the game it very much evokes like a kind of an old school James Bond movie. Um, but story wise, if you're not familiar with this franchise, you might see the character here and think, that's Solid Snake. It's not though. If you've played any of the games, you might know that there is a cloning program called the Terrible Children, or the Les Enfants Terribly, as they say in the games. And the villain from the original to 8-bit Metal Gear games, Big Boss, who you kill right at the end of those, and like the games afterwards are dealing with like the fallout of taking out this like horrible like war criminal. He's the man that all of this cloning was done from, and that's such an element of this franchise is all these clones and the various games. And this is the original soldier, the original guy, going back into the 1960s. Now, some people have said this game's political. I'm going to give you a little blurb of the story. You tell me if you think it's not political at all. But this is taking place at like the height of the Cold War, right? And let me just make sure I have the name for this right, because I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Um, but the Brezhnev is this like extremist terrorist cell inside Russia, wants to overthrow the Soviet Union. And you, Snake, your mentor, the boss, defects to this terrorist cell, brings a tactical nuke with her, hands it right over to Colonel Volgan, the leader of this group. They launch it, kind of making it look like the US launched a nuke onto the Soviet Union, inciting this international incident, right, causing all sorts of chaos. And the US government, the CIA specifically, right, off the books, is like, all right, we got to send you back in here because your mentor breaks your arm, tosses you off a bridge when they set the nuke off. But you have to go back in a second time, and you're the only person that can go in, get the evidence, making it sure to the UN that this was not the United States that launched this. This was this terrorist organization, and this is all kind of a ploy. And then also to kill both the leader of this organization, Colonel Volgan, and your former mentor, the boss, along with the Cobra unit, which is kind of like her. Those are like the big boss fights throughout the game. Does that sound political at all? It's just kind of totally apolitical. Just nothing political about that.
Maybe a teensy bit political there, I would say.
Just a tiny bit. just just the themes of nuclear war and stuff like that. But no, I love this game. I've been a fan of it for a really long time. I I think that it's you know you talk about Hideo Kojima games, and some people would say they're a bit pretentious. But I think the first three Metal Gear games are the ones that kind of won everybody over. Some of his later stuff people said that about, but I think this is that sweet spot that felt like it had that auteur sensibility and creative direction, but also it had a bit more mass market appeal at the same time. This is kind of maybe the most well-rounded of his games in that sense. The ratio of cutscenes to gameplay is just a bit stronger versus like four. People complain about for having too many cutscenes, taking control away from the player, and then complain, in the opposite direction about five, where it's like this is all gameplay and it's like there's very little cutscene, very little story compared to the other games. This one is like almost kind of the perfect sweet spot. Um, but yeah, you go into the jungles of Russia, and you have to make your way through these encampments in the jungle, and there's so many great elements. Hideo Kojima kind of invented the like stealth genre with the original 8-bit games, and he just every one of these
Hold
he
on just a
evolves
second.
them. Oh, sorry.
Ulysses is saying that it, sounds kinda high pitched there. Um,
Oh,
I don't know if that's on my end or if that's on
let me
it's
see.
like,
I've
I
got
don't
my laptop played up, so I'll try and play
yeah,
the audio here just for you.
um,
It doesn't sound like that on my computer here, so I'm wondering if it maybe is maybe Ulysses. It maybe might be your audio.
yeah, okay, I'm not, hearing that on my end.
Yeah, yeah.
Really? It says on both of us. Uh,
I'm thinking it must be his system then, because I'm playing it on my laptop here, and I'm not hearing that at all.
try, Ulysses, try refreshing and then see if that fixes it, if you refresh there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, let's see here. Because yeah,
I'll refresh my browser here and just to make absolutely sure.
yeah, maybe I'll refresh mine too. Yeah. Says that's the only thing that sounds off on the computer. Really? You say try refreshing before fix anything. That's very strange. I don't know if Rampage is in here. Rampage, if you're still in here, maybe I don't know if you hear the same thing. There's that. That's strange.
Yeah.
Let me check my audio here. Um, do. Hold on. Let me sure there's no feedback here. I'm gonna cut my camera off for a second.
No worries.
Hold on.
Let's see. Let me show this. No worries. Yeah, I refreshed on my end, and it still sounds fine on my computer.
Uh, yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah, I guess we can keep going there. I mean, I don't hear anything, but I guess we'll see when it's finished there. But thank you, Ulysses. Hopefully it's nothing wrong with the audio there. Hopefully not.
Yeah,
Uh,
I refreshed it and everything, and it still sounds okay on my computer playing it here. So, yeah, yeah, sounds good
okay,
on that.
okay.
Um,
But yeah, I guess you can continue there.
yeah. So, back to 1964, going through the jungles in Russia or in the Soviet Union, I guess. But the game here it's such interesting gameplay 'cause it's a little different than any of the others in the franchise. It's the only one that has this mechanic called the survival beaver. you go into the menu, and you can do this after any combat encounter. Although if you're playing the game at like an expert level, right, you're gonna avoid any combat encounter that's not a boss fight. But you do physic. I mean, it's a menu. It's not like you're doing a mini game where you actually got to jab the knife in your arm or anything like that. But you do have to dig individual bullets out of your body, put stints in, disinfect wounds. You have to feed yourself by like finding and hunting animals kind of on the fly. There's a lot of like survival mechanics here. And this is the only game in the franchise that has that. So that's something that's very unique to this particular entry. And the character, so like Solid Snake, right, is your kind of main franchise character. Big boss here, as in this prequel game, is referred to as Naked Snake because he's being sent in with literally no equipment at all. Like you have nothing when you get you know dropped in. Um, and even at the beginning of the game, they say it's like the world's first Halo jump. I think that this character is meant to be doing. Yep, that's the survival viewer right there. So you have to, and yeah, so the remake is going to be doing some interesting stuff where we're maybe expanding and kind of doing more with that mechanic, which I'm really excited for because again, it's just nothing, no other game in this franchise, and definitely no other game that I've played outside of like a survival sim, which not totally my thing, has elements like this though. Um, but yeah, man, there's so much here. There's so many little things. There's so many hidden weapons. There's like you can like if you go into certain places and you take out like a certain thing, you can get like animal masks. You can get like an alligator mask that lets you like you can crouch in water and you can basically like disguise yourself as like an alligator moving across the water to hide from enemy sight. You also have the camo index too, so like you have so many different kind of patterns that you apply to your character to blend in different parts of the environment. It's and then four, the one that you played has the like octo camo where it like automatically adjusts to whatever you're touching, um, kind of thing. But so that kind of got its start here in this game with its kind of the evolution of how they did that. Um, but yeah, I mean, like you really aren't going to find better stealth gameplay outside of maybe like the Hitman franchise, in my opinion. It's so measured and calculated. I remember sitting here, and I played the game again recently to be able to talk about it, but you can just sit there and perfectly learn the patrol routes of these enemies, and like it can be difficult. Like they don't necessarily if you're as long as you're not playing on like just the kind of basic normal difficulty, which I've played it enough times. I feel like I always have to bump it up a little bit. But if you're playing on a hard mode or above that, it's not an easy game to make it through without getting caught. And I'll kind of pivot into talking about like the boss fights a little bit here. But one of the big mechanics in these games, and Kojima always, and then his team, they always like to do some interesting kind of experimental stuff like this. But there's one boss fight in particular where you have to kind of trudge up this river. And it's literally against like a ghost, right? You can't actually fight it. You just have to follow it up this river. But if you've played the game without killing enemies, which it very much encourages you to do, you're just walking up a river. Every once in a while, the body of one of the bosses will float by. But if you've been playing the game super recklessly, killing all sorts of enemies as you're going along, the river you'll actually have to it'll be difficult. You'll be like trudging up through like a river of bodies flowing down towards you, and it'll
It's not
be
this
like
boss fight, is it? The pain?
that's not this boss fight. So the pain is like a dude made out of bees that shapeshifts a gun made of bees that shoots bees at you. Fun boss fight. It's Metal Gear Solid is like totally kind of an anime. It has this like anime sensibility and ridiculousness to it. It can be very serious and very heavy and very political, very geopolitical in what it's doing and kind of the story that we're following. But then it also has a shape-shifting bee commando and a ghost and like a spider guy. Like there's all these kind of weird over the top anime sci-fi supernatural things going on here, which in these parts even stand out more because this game has kind of a more toned down retro element as far as like the technology goes. So like this guy made of bees, like he really stands out in this game. especially for that reason. But no, there's just all these fun small things that they do in these games. There's so many little hidden elements that you can find and discover. I mean, even going back to like the first game, just to reference that, the game doesn't tell you that if you equip cigarettes, the smoke will reveal the lasers in the doorway for you. You just kind of have to figure that out on your own. And this series has always had a lot of these things where you're really rewarded for experimenting and for exploring and for searching and for trying to get as much of it as you can. I mean, one element that um, signifies that especially well is the codec call. And that's something that's been in every one of these games, but you get a lot of calls over your this codec that you have, right? So you've got a whole team of people with you. Major Zero is kind of the leader of your troop. Paramedic, your medic. Sigint, who is like your weapons expert, who would go on to be, retroactively is a major character in the first game as well. But just taking the time to call each of these characters, fairly frequently throughout the game. The game doesn't say very often, hey, you need to go communicate with this person. There's a couple points where it does. But most of that is optional. But the story is made so much more rich by calling these NPCs as often as you can and getting all these stories out of them. I mean, these characters will have personal conversations. Like if you call the paramedic character between like each area, she will get into a conversation about like famous Hollywood movies, stuff like Godzilla or King Kong or kind of these old school feature films. Them, yeah, there's a conversation that Snake has about the movie Them with this character even. With the giant ants from back in the day, and so there's so much personality here that you could easily kind of push through this game super fast and miss. So anybody, if you haven't played this and this, you hear us talking about it and it makes you think about playing this game, really take your time, really try and get the most out of that mechanic because I think it's something you could easily miss if you're not really paying attention to it. Um, but yeah, and then as far as like the story goes, this is I think Hideo Kojima's right, and again, not only him. There's a whole team behind him, but you can feel his thumbprint on it, and it is, I think, at the peak of his creativity and that whole team's creativity. You have something that is geopolitically heavy, manages to pull back and have some humor when it needs to, for sure, but also evokes kind of the best of the James kind of classic James Bond as well. You really get a lot of that. And it's also telling the story of like a tragic villain. Because before this game, the Naked Snake or Big Boss, right, as he's known throughout the rest of the franchise, this character was like purely seen as this like totally just horrible, war criminal monster, right? And you get to see, uh, and again, I'll quote David Hayter on this, but you know, Solid Snake in like the very first game is like kind of broken and hardened and kind of I'm already sick of this. I'm already beaten down. I'm already super cynical. But you start this game with Big Boss still kind of not like still kind of having hope and still kind of believing in things and believing like that a country will treat its soldiers right if you do right by your country, if you do right by your military, and you just kind of watch that ideal. I'd say that's maybe the core, maybe most important theme throughout the story in this game is watching this character slowly have that idea just beaten out of him. And let me ask your opinion on this. Should we do full spoilers? I know it's an old game, but with the remake coming out, I feel like maybe people, will be playing it for the first times. What do you think?
I mean, do you think they'll maybe have any major changes, you think? You feel like they
I
will?
think it. I think well, they've said they're reusing all of the voice acting even from the original. So like even the recordings are the same dialogue. It's really just the controls, gameplay, visuals that are being upgraded. So the
Okay.
story will be the same story going into the new one.
Okay. I'd say go ahead. I mean, it's 20 years old, I'd say let loose there.
Well, here's your spoiler warning if you haven't played it and you want to save yourself for the remake. But the big thing with this game, the big twist, I suppose, is the boss, right? Defects to to this terrorist organization at the beginning of the game, betrays you, breaks your arm, tosses you off a bridge, and throughout the game, like you keep getting into fights with this character here and there, and it seems like she's trying to mentor you even while being, kind of the second main, maybe even the primary antagonist of the story. But as you wind down near the end, you get to the last fight, and what's kind of revealed to you is that she is still actually working for the U.S. government here. This is it's she's like a triple agent here. It's all this kind of long con to I'm going to try and keep this as simple as I can because Metal Gear does get convoluted. But it's Metal Gear Solid 2 introduces this like AI system called the Patriots, which is what you're fighting in 4. A series of AI that are basically have taken over the world and are manipulating the information age to create this kind of contextless AI driven super future society. And in Metal Gear Solid 3, the boss is a triple agent basically trying to trying to get the obtain and return to the U.S. government the resources of the philosophers, which are the human beings that the AI in 2 and 4 are modeled after. So this secret society of AI in the other games, their predecessors were these like rich kind of Illuminati type figure, right? Super hyper elite rich people across the world all had their money divided and pooled into this thing, and she basically has to brand herself as this enemy of the country, and you have to murder her. Like, and even after you beat the boss fight in a cutscene, it plays this very sad moment of him having to point the gun in her face, but the game does still make you press a button to pull the trigger. And she basically, her story all ends up being about dying as this hero with just absolute dedication to a nation, completely tossing aside like individual personhood for this country or for these ideals. And watching that happen and seeing Snake at this point, but Big Boss, and as far as his longer character goes, just kind of be broken and betrayed by, like, one of the only people. He's had a rough life in general. This person that has been like kind of a mother to him, almost very much a mentor, having to murder this person because your country demanded it of both of you, and connecting that and seeing where he in the rest of the franchise, right, be this just villain who just hates like the concept of nations. And it is, I mean, it's not too dissimilar to like the pirates in Nassau, right, trying to form their own country. And that's what you're infiltrating in the original like 8-bit Metal Gear games. Yes, it's just this really incredible character arc for both your protagonist and your antagonist. Some of the most, I think, emotionally affecting story beats in video games. I mean, you talk about the whole video games as art argument, and nowadays I think a lot more people accept that idea. But back when this was coming out, I'd say like, this franchise, this game especially, stuff like Shadow of the Colossus, you had a few, but Silent Hill 2 is another big one. But this was a huge mover in terms of pushing people to think, hey, video games can tell really smart, complex, and emotionally rich narratives.
Mm. And this game, came out in '04, has been updated to a lot of platforms there, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4. There was a remastered collection that came out with basically all the older Metal Gear games that people can get right now. I think that's
They have
available for
5 games on that collection. So it's the one Metal Gear 1 and 2, the PSX games, and then Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3. So five titles on there. It's quite a bit of game.
yeah, for I think about $40, I think you can get it for, there.
Yeah, I think when it first launched, it was 60, but I think the price has come down since then.
Yeah. If you want just the individual game, you can get it for I think about $14 if you just want on a digital store. I think you can get it for like
Yeah, I
13.
believe that's right.
There you can get that. Do you suggest people do get the mastered kind of collection there? Do you suggest people do that?
I would now. When it first launched, it had some issues. There were some things about it that just were not working great on launch, and it's a little embarrassing because it's like, guys, these games are 20 years old now with this one we're talking about right now, especially. But I think they kind of saw that. They've been working on it. They've been updating them. They've been fixing the problems, and so I think now you pick it up. I think when I picked it up, I got it for like $30 because it was on sale. I think with the patching that they've done and for the price, it's 5 games. It's five of the like most classic video games that are out there. I think it's worth it now for sure. I think the only thing that's really significantly different is that some of the they used a lot of like stock footage, like actual stock footage of real footage of wars and stuff from the 1950s and 60s, and I think some of that has been removed from this most recent re-release just because of licensing issues. But I think that's the only really significant difference in the game.
Yeah. So here you can get Metal Gear the NES version, Snake's Revenge, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake there. Let me show the screen there, the games you can get. Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, Metal Gear Solid VR Missions, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater there. So that's all the games
Okay.
you can get in the value one of the master collection here. Um, you also said, didn't certain people say that the one lady is not hot enough in the remaster there? Uh,
That I believe is referencing. People said that about the character model for the boss in the remakes trailer footage, which I think is just insane because I think it looks like the same character but with better graphics. I don't think people complained about the remaster, but I think the remake is what they were talking about. Which
yeah.
again, I still don't think is. I think it's totally unfounded, but yeah, people are going off about it.
So this is the remake right here, which is coming out sometime in 2025, and this is how Big Boss looks in this right here. Um,
Yeah.
so this is
She
her. So
looks the boss looks the same as she did in the original, but with better graphics. It's it totally looks like. Plus, I mean, like it's not a character that was hypersexualized in the original to begin with. She's kind of she's a mentor. She's got a bit more of a maternal kind of nature as far as the relationship to the character you're playing as goes. She does. There's that you saw it when she was dying, and she does zip her suit down in that boss fight at the end. But it doesn't feel sexualized when they do it. It's very much a I'm going to show you what serving my country has done to me. And she has this scar that goes like all the way down her like her entire chest. And it's like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel sexual at all. So I don't know why people are like this character's not sexy enough in in the remake, but especially when Ava, who you see on the screen there as well, that's a character in the game, and she's plenty sexual. So
right. So what does
if you really need to focus on her.
I meant to bring up this case. So what does Ava do in the story? That you mentioned Snake, you mentioned Boss there. What does Ava do here?
So she goes kind of hand in hand with another character. There's they go there's two characters that are like triple kind of other also triple agents within the story. You have Ava and Revolver Ocelot, who are two spies that have like infiltrated the or the Soviet Union kind of terrorist cell that Colonel Volgan is running. And she very much plays the part of the Catwoman, the Black Cat, the Bond, the seductress Bond girl that's going to betray Snake right at the end. She is the reason that the AI kind of exists in 2 and 4 because she she kind of is that constantly playing all sides thing, and then at the end of the game she drugs you and takes that philosopher's right that treasure that I was talking about and whisks it off. And like she's a big part of the reason that the AI is even a problem in the later games or in the chronologically later games. She makes an appearance, a much older version of her character in 4, which you might not have recognized that that was who that was at the time you played it, but she does make an appearance in the 4th game as well.
Okay. That's a way older version there.
Much older. Yeah, I think they call her Big Mama when she shows up in that.
Well, let me see if I can find a picture from her from that
And I think
game.
she's still got her shirt down even then. So
Okay. Because how old is she in 4 there?
in four, I'm not sure about the exact age, but she's got to at least be in her 50s, if not 60s.
Okay, she's still looking pretty good. She's still looking all right.
Yeah, yeah, not bad at all. And you know
Okay.
what? You don't see older women wearing that low cut of tops too often. So good for her. She
Yeah.
must feel good about herself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Metal Gear
No,
Solid. So this.
she's. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say for the character. I mean, like I could see looking at it and going like, wow, that's over sexualized. But at the same time, I think it does serve the Bond girl like seductress kind of thing fairly well. It certainly is distracting to the other characters in the game, and she does get one over on him because of it. So
Mm.
I don't know. It's I think it fits fairly well with the role she plays, but I mean, it's don't get me wrong, it's laughable sometimes when she walks out on screen, and I'm like, all right, that's just kind of your fashion choice, huh?
Okay. With Metal Gear Solid, so it's considered one of the greatest video games of all time. Metal Gear Solid 3 was met with critical acclaim and commercial success of having sold more than 4 million copies worldwide as of March 2010. The game received praise due to its story, protagonist, cutscenes, and new features. Though the camel system, had a more mixed response. Criticism befell on the game's camera and frame rate. Um, which, the new remake aims to go like, you can go back to the old camera system if you want to, but we have a new updated modern camera system there for people. There you can also have some features that do remind you of the old game. I showed some footage of you can adjust the color there to, have that,
Yeah.
color saturation there of that. Um, yeah, I mean, so this getting a remake, officially there, we talked about it a little bit before when we did a trailer reaction. I mean, what do you think? I mean, does it need a remake?
I think the controls can be a little clunky at times, let's say some coming from someone that has nostalgia, right? Go to go in and play this again. I played these long enough ago that the controls were just what they were at the time. Going back to it, it could be it took me a minute to get back into the groove of it. Once I got it though. I think it's not like totally archaic. It's not like the old Resident Evil games for me where I'm just like I can't even with those tank controls. But I do think if you are a newcomer to the franchise, or maybe you've only played four or five, right? I think it could be a little weird to wrap your head around because it's just such a different control scheme. Um, it's not as fluid. It doesn't allow you to right control the camera. It's this like fixed kind of more out there camera angles. Um, the way that you like fire the gun, you don't really use like the triggers. It's like squares, like the fire button, and like you like hit a button to like go into a first person mode and then fire from that a lot of the time. Otherwise, if you fire from the hip, like it's a fixed camera, and so you're not like aiming exactly like you would be used to in a typical shooter. Um, but I think it's really good that they're going to have the old school control scheme to choose from. So you're going to get both in the remake, which makes it to me it seems like that's the best of both worlds. If you like the original and you just don't want it to change the way it plays, great. They have that. Personally, I'm going to play it in the new style when the remake comes out. I think I can't wait to see what it's like with that updated control scheme, proper third person, old over the shoulder camera angles. The movement will probably be a lot more fluid as far as like the rolling and the diving and the crawling and just being able to kind of swap between stances a little more fluidly. Um, yeah, I mean, I think visually, I think it can use the update. I do. I think it's a great story. I think the voice acting and the writing holds up very, very well. And I think, the sign that that's the case is that they're not redoing the voice acting or the writing. They're only redoing the visuals and the controls. And maybe they'll add some to the levels themselves so that there's a little more exploring you can do. But they're reusing all of the old audio files from the original game. The only new audio that they're recording is around the tutorial. Because the tutorial in the original is going to tell you to use buttons and explain things in a way that does not make sense on like a PS5 controller. So the only new audio recording is going to be for the tutorial section at the beginning of the game. And I think one or two of these voice actors may have passed away at this point too. So, Metal Gear is one of those examples of one of the earliest examples of like really good voice acting in a video game. So I think it's a good thing that they're not changing that. I think that's something you don't really want to mess with. It's really high quality voice acting. David Hayter, I mean, icon, man, absolute icon. And he's worked as a screenwriter too. He worked on the script for the first X-Men movie, funnily
Yeah,
enough.
fun fact. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't recommend this game enough. I think the original holds up very well. Clunky in some places, mostly in the way it looks. And so I think of the remake is it's 20 years later, 21 years later when it comes out. I think it's been enough time. I think it's worth it.
So, what would be your review? Would be, I mean, sorry, your rating for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater?
Well, I say it with some nostalgia blinders on, but I give it a this is cinema. For the things that have aged about it, I've got the nostalgia going back a little, so it may not be quite on that level to somebody that plays it for the first time today. But this did a lot of firsts for games, a lot of things that it's still the only franchise or game to do. Some of that survival viewer stuff I was talking about. And I think it's just really high quality, deep storytelling. It's some of the oldest stuff in video games that really sold games as telling a complex, emotionally rich story. I think that where it counts, this game holds up really, really well. Um, yeah, this is cinema. I think if you're not familiar with the controls and the gameplay of the old games, playing it for the first time now, I'd probably still give it a peek, even for under that consideration. But with the remake coming out, it might be worth waiting for it. I do think it might be worth waiting for it. But hey, you know what? I don't think you can go wrong with the classic version or the remake as of right now.
Yeah. So, you say you advise people not to pick up the original, just wait for the remake. That'd probably be better for people if they want to get into the game.
If you're it really I think depends on the person. If you're someone that is just in general plays games from any era and you are okay with playing stuff that's older, I think totally pick up the original. It's still worth it. If you're someone who is maybe newer to gaming, maybe you're a little on the younger side, you haven't been playing games as long, so like when you try and play something old, you're just like, oh God, what is this? It looks just doesn't look right or play right to me. Then yes, 100% wait for the remake. It'll be a much smoother experience. But I think there's value in both, and I'll probably return to both versions once the remake is out. I can see myself still returning to the original in the future.
All right. So, you give it a this is cinema there for?
I would. I mean, like I said, I tattooed it right on my body there, so I don't have that many tattoos either. So that's a big one.
All right. So, Sage, give it a Metal Gear Solid 3 a this is cinema, highest rating there. Yeah. So, very, very nice.
It would definitely go in my all-time top 10. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it's considered, I guess, a lot of highly regarded by a lot of critics there as being one of the greatest video games there. Yeah. All right. Gonna move on to our next review here. Sage, your thoughts on X-Men Legends, which is also having its 20th year anniversary right now.
Yeah, I didn't even plan for that. I just thought we should do this because the X-Men '97 came out, and it was only when I was looking it up to write some notes down. I was like, oh wow, this is also like right on its 20-year anniversary mark. Oh man, this is a classic. I think with one exception, this is runner up for I think the best X-Men video game that has ever been made. Not that they've done a whole lot with the franchise in video game terms in recent years, but this is so gameplay first. This is kind of a Diablo-esque game, right? It's got the overhead camera, dungeon crawler. You can do up to 4 players here. It is a little more simple than say Diablo itself. The mechanics, RPG mechanics of it are pulled back. There's not too much in the way of like loot. That's pretty basic in this. But you do have a real nice upgrade tree. You've got your basic attack stuff, of course, but you have these special moves that you do, mutant power meter that you use for these, and you've got like a nice long upgrade tree to enhance these things. So it's not like a super long game, but you have a lot to sink your teeth into as far as upgrading these characters. You have full access to the danger room to do like training simulations and like skirmishes where you can, this is a four-player game, right? So four-player, it doesn't even have to be split screen because you're all doing the top-down camera thing, but you can do play versus mode with each other, all these sorts of skirmishes, big like waves of enemies coming at you. And then there's the actual story mode, which I don't know how familiar you are with the kind of early 2000s X-Men comics, but this was very much based in the Ultimate Comics universe, which I think started, I want to say, in the year 2000, which was kind of an at the time attempt to modernize a lot of the Marvel characters and modernize their origin stories. Famously, Miles Morales was introduced within the Ultimate Universe comics many, many years later. But this, yeah, you can see like the leather kind of costumes the characters are wearing, which maybe seems reminiscent of the films, but that's actually were like the Ultimate comic costumes that they did.
I think they said that in the new season of X-Men '97, they are gonna have these type of costumes. The Grant Morrison run of X-Men, they're gonna have
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
leather jacket.
Yeah, they're a little different from those. They have more yellow in them. The one they're going to be using in the next season of the show, they have these like big yellow kind of X's on the jacket, and then there's like black. It's like black pants and like black accents on the jackets. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. Yeah, so that was kind of from right around the same time. In fact, those costumes were used as the main costumes in X-Men Next Dimension, which was an X-Men kind of arcade fighting game from the same studio as X-Men Legends, which is you mentioned them because it's a great studio that did a lot of Marvel games. They worked on X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men Legends 1, 2, the first Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They also did Heretic back in the day, which was kind of like a Doom style FPS, but with like wizard casting spells. And this Raven Software is the studio I'm talking about. And for a long time now, they've been one of those, one of Activision's many great studios that have just kind of been locked in as like a Call of Duty backup studio, and they don't really make anything anymore. They just work on COD maps, which is one of the many unfortunate things that have happened under the Activision banner in recent, well, not even recent years because it's been quite some time. But yeah, Ravens. Hopefully, one of these days they can get out from under the Call of Duty thumb and start producing their own work again. But they knew what they were doing here with X Men. This was 2004. I would have been 9 at the time, and so I'd already had exposure to X Men through the '90s animated series, X Men Evolution, uh, some of the '80s cartoons, even with some Marvel characters I'd seen back then. The movies obviously had come out. I remember seeing the first one in theaters in 2000. But this video game was also probably one of my very early exposures to X-Men as an IP. Maybe not the first thing, but being able to mess around with these characters. And it's the trouble with a lot of superhero games. Something like, say, the Avengers from 2020, I think really suffered from. You try and put a lot of these characters in one game with each other, and it can suffer because, well, they all have different powers, and you want to make them feel different to play as. And something like the Avengers really struggled with that because it's trying to give you this like, you know, game where you are third person behind the camera or behind the shoulder camera, and you're picking one character and you're going out, and then but because you have to have all these other characters playable, a lot of them end up kind of feeling samey. The gameplay mechanics don't feel like built around unique individual characters' powers. I think X Men Legends is maybe the greatest, and well, except for I think the sequel is a superior game, but the greatest formula for doing a team superhero game like the X Men, because the dungeon crawler kind of top down perspective that this game is going with allows you to differentiate the powers of the characters and yes, have the basic control scheme kind of be the same across them, but it allows there to be a differentiation in their special abilities to where they do still feel different. You don't get that sameness from playing picking a bunch of the different characters. And the roster I think is only 15 characters in this one. It's not a huge number, but
Um,
hey, you got to start somewhere.
so the playbook characters, you got Beast, Colossus, Cyclops, Emma Frost, Gambit, Iceman, Jean Grey, Jubilee, Magma, Nightcrawler, Professor X, Psylocke, Rogue, Storm, and Wolverine. The characters.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with Magma. I'm not too familiar.
So that's interesting because that's kind of your POV character in this game. So it starts off opening level. You're Wolverine here, right? Kicks you into and this marks Steve the first time I believe that Steve Bloom voiced Wolverine in something, and obviously he's gone on to voice Wolverine in a ton of stuff since. But this started his career as the character. But yeah, so Alison Cressmere is Magma. She's one of the New Mutants from the comics, and the game starts with her being attacked by Mystique and Blob and Pyro and the Brotherhood trying to kidnap her. And you first level is kind of a streets of New York. Let's get through this area, rescue this, kind of random mutant that's been they've attempted to kidnap. But once you get out of that first level and you get to your hub area, which is the mansion, you get to explore this nice big chunk of the mansion, which is really cool. But you are then in between levels put into the shoes of Allison or Magma. And she is this character that you get to kind of explore, interface with the world of X-Men, go around, you talk to characters um, within the man, tons of different characters. There's all sorts of conversation. They pack a lot of lore into this too. Like if you are unfamiliar with X-Men, this is honestly one of those places to start with the franchise in general that I honestly would recommend to people because there is so much you can learn just by running around talking to each of the different people. There's tons of like comic book covers that you collect in the game, biographies. They really do a good job packing like the lore in here and just like familiarizing you with the world of X-Men. Um, and then I also noticed too, Professor X is on the playable character list. And no, you are not rolling around in his wheelchair as a playable character in this game. He's only available during a single level, which is fighting the Shadow King in the astral plane. And then I want to pivot into that to talk about like the level design and kind of the environments here. Um, in terms of graphics, this game looks, I think, quite good. It's aged fairly well, largely because it's got this like real kind of hard lined, kind of cell shaded art style, which I just think a lot of games that have more cartoony cell shaded art style from this time period, they just hold up a lot better than stuff that's aiming for realism. Just by nature of being a little more pronounced of a style. Um, but you have a couple like you get to explore the mansion right in kind of the in between parts, and that's really cool. There's a lot of fun stuff there. Um, Within the levels of the game and the story, I would say the astral plane is pretty noticeably unique and cool, and then the big end game. This is very much a X-Men versus the Brotherhood kind of story. So, the big end game of this is Asteroid M is the final level, right? You go up to Magneto. And the reason the Brotherhood was kidnapping Magma, Allison, in the first place, is her ability to interface with like rock, right? And kind of rock produced from like magma and stuff. So she's kind of like a MacGuffin for controlling the asteroid M asteroid. And you got those two really cool levels. But one of the criticisms I do want to levy at this game is a lot of the environments aren't the most unique. Outside of these two that I think are really cool. Astroplane's really cool. Asteroid M is really cool. But there's a lot of like streets in New York, military base, snowy area. There's two entire separate sewer levels in the game. And I'm like, I remember when I went back the second time, I was like, guys, come on, really? We're going back. We're going to the sewers again. Like you already used up the sewer level trope once in here. So that's one thing I would say as a negative to this is I do think that I do think that the level design outside of those two exceptions, you could have used some more interesting, iconic areas from like the X-Men franchise. There's no shortage of places to go. Um, but I will say, and maybe we'll talk about this next year sometime, because the sequel, I think, 20th anniversary will be next year. That game has a lot better use of like locations and places that you go to in interesting environments to kind of run around in. So that's one criticism I'd have of this game. Voice acting, for the most part, I think is fairly good. It's not the greatest you've ever heard. It's not Metal Gear Solid 3. I'll say that. Um, Steve Bloom is great as Wolverine. I believe you have Patrick Stewart playing Xavier in this game. And then I wish I had the name of the actress that plays Magma here, because you hear she's a voice. I tell you, as soon as you hear her, you'll recognize it from every Cartoon Network show that was on in the early 2000s.
So
Like
yeah,
every single one.
Patrick Stewart did return as Xavier in this. He did. You said Stephen Bloom, Gray Griffin. I feel like I know that name. She
She's
voices.
Azula in Avatar.
Okay, that's where I know that name from.
And she
There.
she's like she was in like every Cartoon Network show, I feel like, back then. She's just so much so
Oh,
much.
it's
She's
Cree
in Kid
Summer
Man,
whose
Kid
voice
Next
is
Door.
Magma.
Okay, yes, Cree Summers. Okay, and then Grey Griffin is, what character does she play in the game?
She's Mystique.
Oh yes, okay, I definitely recognize her as that character as well. Yeah, Cree Summers. It's like she was in Codename Kids Next Door. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing her in Samurai Jack. She's in Powerpuff Girls at one point. She's in
Uh,
like all those shows back then.
Recess. I think she was in Recess.
Yeah, she definitely was.
Yes.
Yeah, so like you have some really good voice talent in here. The voice acting is it's pretty good. I would say, like, from a writing perspective, it's a pretty basic, just X-Men versus Brotherhood plot. There's nothing like too powerfully unique about it. It's just a serviceable, fun X-Men story. It's not doing anything too deep or innovative with the franchise. But it's good. It's a solid level. Um, yeah, I mean, and then I mentioned the some of the, like, the side stuff, like the Danger Room. You have all access to all these training programs, all these collectibles you can do in the game. There's even like an X-Men trivia game you could find. I forget. It's like somewhere in the mansion. It's in maybe Iceman's room or Gambit's room or something like that. But you can go in and play like a whole little trivia game, which aced every question personally when I played it recently. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a fun time. It's just a really good, and it's a good multiplayer game. I miss having more stuff like this that you could do full four-player co-op. There's just a lot of great stuff here. Head trauma as a child. I can say that one right away. Yep. He was in a car. Him and his brother Havoc were in a car accident, and that's why he can't control his optic blasts. It's not part of his natural human power. The Phoenix. Oh yeah, the Phoenix. So, and some of the answers are like so obviously wrong if you know anything about X Men. It's Havoc right there. I just mentioned him too.
I want to meet the
Yeah, it's
person who
it's
would guess like who's Cyclops' brother, and they put Wolverine. They put like fucking Wolverine's his brother.
right,
Um,
right. Maybe if this was your first exposure to X Men, I don't know. I don't know. It's possible.
yeah. Okay. Very nice.
Now,
Um,
was this something that you played at all back in the day? You're
I
familiar with?
played more. I think I played this one, and then I played the sequel. I played the sequel a lot more, which is the sequel is X-Men Legends 2, and then Apocalypse. Um,
Yeah, and I think that is the superior game between the two.
yeah, and I remember that opening distinctively when they did that cutscene in X-Men Legends 2 when they break into the. I do remember that very distinctly
Yeah.
there. And then I moved on to Marvel Ultimate Alliance after I
And this
played
was
that.
also Raven Software. That was them. So that they kind of did this trilogy, and then Ultimate Alliance 2 was a different studio, and then 3 was again a different studio. So, but Raven Software did kind of do the trilogy of X-Men Legends 1, 2, and then the Ultimate Alliance.
And
Kind of capped
Ultimate
it off. I
Alliance,
wish they would. The first Ultimate Alliance they
and
did.
that came in '06.
Oh six, yeah. And so I guess 04, 05, and 06 they got like a game every year, pretty much.
Yeah, and then the sequel for Marvel Ultimate Alliance came in '09.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was a number of years later, and it's I forget the studio that did the sequel, but it was someone else. It was not Raven.
the sequel here was developed by Vicarious Visions, who did
Oh, okay, okay, interesting.
it's jointly developed by them and then Savage Entertainment, and published by Activision.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
know
yeah.
a third one came out, but I heard mixed things about it. I was excited because it was like, "Hey, it's another Marvel Ultimate Alliance game," but I then heard it was not all that strong.
I enjoyed it. I'll definitely say I enjoyed it. I would say I probably liked it more than Ultimate Alliance 2, but I think it would come underneath the first one and the two X-Men Legends games. I think it's fun. It's more arcadey than these older ones are. There's a lot less in the way of like especially X Men Legends 2. I think went the hardest on the RPG mechanics, really messing with like stats and builds and having a whole bunch of different powers that you could slot in and out for your character. And Ultimate Alliance 3, it felt a lot more like a kind of an arcade game, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It just is very different. So I think there's an entertainment value there. I played the whole game. I got decently into it, especially just because it's been so long since there'd been a new one. It was also a little weird because it was a Nintendo Switch exclusive, that was kind of odd. Um, these games have always been multi-platform in the past. And then the other thing I'll say about the third one was it was very focused on like MCU synergy. So it was a lot of like Thanos was the villain. They were using the Infinity Stones. It
They
was a
have the
lot of
Guardians of the
the
Galaxy.
Guardians front center, which I don't mind. Hey, throw them in there. Why not? They're popular now. But it was Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and it's you know it's and not to dislike any of those characters. It's just the first Ultimate Alliance and these X Men Legends games. They just felt like they were much more concerned with what can we pull from the comics, how can we adapt stuff from the comics, rather than being a tie into the cartoons at the time or the movies at the time. It was very, let's go into the comics, let's show people another angle of this franchise that they're not going to get from the movies and they're not going to get from the cartoons. That's something that the comics have that we can expose people to in the unique medium of video games. And I still don't think that there has been anything for the X-Men franchise that has showcased like the unique attributes of the characters this well in video game form, at least. Like, yes, we've had that one really great Wolverine game, and we had a good Deadpool game, but like X-Men as a team, right? That the property as a whole, not letting Wolverine take center stage and be the main character. The best as far as like as just being an X-Men game. I still think these two really are kind of the top of the line.
So X-Men Legends here, the game that came out in '04. It says at the time, received generally positive reviews from critics. The Xbox version was the best received, garnering an aggregate scores of 83% and 82 out of 100 on the
That is
review.
the version I played.
Okay, you played the Xbox version there, aggregating websites there, game rankings, and Metacritic, respectively. Reviewers praised Raven's variation on cell shaded graphics. Due to the success of the game, the sequel was made, X Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse there. Yeah. And it sold enough copies. This is X Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse. Sold enough copies to be added to the budget line known as PlayStation 2's greatest hits. As
Mm.
well. So they had that. Um, so I'm looking at a list of best X Men games here. Do you know what? Can you guess what number one is?
I would think X-Men Legends too, but if it's not, I mean, if it's, yeah, I guess I could see it being X-Men Origins Wolverine. I would personally pick a bone with that and say that's a Wolverine game, not an X-Men game, but that's just me.
X Men Origins Wolverine is on this list. This is by Game Rant. X Men Origins Wolverine is number four, and X Men Legends is number two. Uh,
Okay.
Number one is X Men versus Street Fighter. Is number one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That was big in the arcade days.
So you have that one. So yeah. So what would
Mm.
be your score? What would be your rating there for X Men Legends?
Yeah, I think this. I mean, I think this game holds up pretty well. I think it's still a lot of fun to play. The controls are very smooth. It's aged somewhat visually. Uh, I do think those cel-shaded graphics. I mean, the cutscenes are probably worse. Have aged worse than the gameplay. Um, I think this looks pretty good still, and I think it feels pretty good still. It's basic in certain respects, and I wish there was a bit more variety or a bit more interesting uniqueness to the environments you traverse. Um, but I think as far as X-Men games go, man, I think this is still, this and then the sequel are is kind of the best you can do. I'd give this a peak. I'd think I'd give this like a low peak, strong tune in, just
Mm,
because I think there's room for improvement as evidenced by the sequels, such as the X-Men Legends 2 and then Ultimate Alliance. I think there's room to go up, but I don't think that X-Men has been captured this well in video games since these two games. I really don't. And I wish if anything would get a remake or some sort of sequel from like an old franchise, please put something else out with this. This it's been gone so long. X-Men is having a resurgence right now. Let's get a new X-Men Legends game out there.
yeah, because it's not available on any of the updated platforms. You can only get it on the older
No.
ones: GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox.
And,
There.
and I don't even think this first, but the second one is available on PC. I think still today, if you look hard enough, although not official by not by like an official website. The first one I don't think was released on PC at all. I don't think you can even get it on PC. Or
Yeah.
if you do, it's like an emulator or something like that.
And it says this was also released on Engage. You remember that? Nokia Engage?
Uh, it was like some tiny little mobile platform, and not something I'm super familiar with. It's kind of like a
It was this.
yeah, it's almost like like one of those Sega Game Master things.
Damn. Oh my god, this thing is hideous. A Nokia Engage. Jeez.
Wasn't a
Look,
very popular system, I don't think.
so it's got like what was this? Also like a phone. Also, plus it was like an MP3 player. Damn, all these buttons on
Something
here.
like that.
Oh Jesus Christ! You supposed to play a video game on this?
Yeah, it
Damn.
looks unwieldy,
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
which
I
is
guess.
why Sonic is on it. Sonic is unwieldy too.
But yeah, you could. Yeah, if you got a Rocka Nokia Engage, you could also play it on there. If you can. So you give it a peek. For X Men Legends there.
Yeah,
Okay. So a peek from Sage for X Men Legends. Hopefully, there's a remaster of it coming out soon. I think that people would love to see that. I mean, hey, they brought back Marvel vs. Capcom. They're doing that, and they bringing all those games
yeah.
with it. So maybe they'll do that.
And
Um,
Activision, they published a lot of Marvel games, right? All these Ultimate Alliance, one and two. I don't know about three, but Origins Wolverine, the Deadpool game, yeah, Hulk Ultimate Destruction, the 2005 Punisher. They were like the company that published Marvel games for a long time, and there's a huge catalog of Marvel property video games in general that are totally unavailable unless you go hunt down like a physical copy of them. I'm lucky that I have kept my X-Men Legends in good condition for 20 years now. Because to do this review, I was able to pop it right into my original Xbox and just sit down and play it. But
yeah,
sadly, that is not an option for a lot of people.
yeah. I remember
Oh, that
playing.
Punisher game is great.
Yeah, I remember playing this Punisher game. Yeah. Man, I said I didn't keep a lot of these games. I sold a lot of them. PlayStation and yeah, I used to have the original PlayStation, the PlayStation 2. Yeah, I got rid of it. It's like, yeah, I wish I kept a lot of that stuff.
And
Yeah,
just uppercutting people's heads off.
it's almost like this was kind of like Max Payne a little bit, like because when he have like
Totally.
a berserker mode a little bit, where he would like kind of
That's
yeah.
what that is right there. Is that
Uh,
with the knives out? And that
okay,
was the berserker mode. And then I mean that game had so much great stuff. We should do a retro review for this at some point. I still got a working copy of that sitting around here somewhere for my
yeah,
old Xbox. You had a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of good stuff in there. Tom Jane was the voice, and it was kind of a tie-in to the movie, but not really. But that to me proved Tom Jane was like a great choice for the character, even if that movie wasn't necessarily the best.
did you like
Still a
his
really good casting.
Laundry Day? Did you like his short film there?
I thought Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. And then you also had Blade there.
Now this one I never played.
I never played this one either. Yeah, which I wish I would have. I mean, Blade was badass. Yeah.
Hell
Remember he
yeah.
put a
I mean, but
chicken do a headlock and stab her right in the fucking head there.
it's surprising
Yeah.
that he hasn't had more video games in general, to be honest. It's like seems like such a perfect character for it.
Well, I mean, Daredevil. Surprised that Daredevil never have a game. His was canceled, right? The Man Without Fear.
Yeah, there was one briefly in development and it was canceled. The only thing I can really remember, I mean, he's in the Ultimate Alliance games, but the only game I can remember playing as Daredevil other than that was like Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects, which is kind of like a 3D fighting game kind of thing. And Daredevil, but it also gave you a little bit more fluid control of the characters, and that could be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, Daredevil deserves a game. Hopefully, not a first person one though. Be hard to see.
I mean, yeah, I think people would like a Batman style Daredevil type game there.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
This is a weird because yeah, this person's got Daredevil, they got Doctor Strange, they got Silver Surfer, and they got Colossus. That's a weird
Oh,
fuck.
that must have been the Ultimate Alliance Gold Edition released on the Xbox 360 that had a handful of extra characters included.
Yeah.
Because I think Colossus was a bonus. Was one of the bonus characters.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. Silver Surfer can throw his board there, and okay, do a lot of cool stuff there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, in the comic book, what would Daredevil be doing if like robots or aliens invaded? But guess he'd be
He,
doing something.
yeah, he'd be at least trying. Who
Yeah,
knows how
hey,
far he gets, but he'd be in the streets at least trying.
yeah.
Maybe he's on crowd control.
What is batons? Are they made of something special? His stick or batons?
I don't think they're made of any particularly special material. If they are, I either forgot or just somehow never read about that. But I'm pretty sure they're just steel, I think.
Mm, yeah. But yeah. Well, I mean, Daredevil's coming back. Daredevil Born Again is going to be back. He's going to be returning. They did show a trailer at D23. D23 was the big event that happened over this weekend. Um, Unfortunately, they didn't release the official trailer for Daredevil Born Again there, but
Yeah.
um, trust me, it was really good. It was a good trailer.
Yeah, we both saw it. It was awesome.
It was a good trailer. We're gonna have the return of John Bernthal as the Punisher. He's gonna be back. Wilson Fix is gonna be back. They're gonna do the whole run. I mean, you probably know this more than me, but where Wilson Fix is gonna be running for mayor, the mayor of New York. Um,
Okay,
oh
okay. So that's the kind of because wasn't because the show's called Born Again, which is a specific comic book. And the third season of Daredevil on Netflix also took a lot of inspiration from that same story arc. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do kind of be inspired by the same comic again and not quite feel like they're repeating themselves just a little bit. I mean, I think they definitely can do it. But it's just interesting because there's so many Daredevil books out there. It's interesting that they're going to the same specific one, like the very next kind of season.
yeah. Well, at first, Daredevil Born Again, so they were planning on doing like a soft reboot of it, where they were gonna
Yeah,
do that, and then kind of like,
I
okay,
think
we're oh,
Karen
good.
and Foggy were gonna die off screen in like the first episode.
Yeah, they're like Aaron and Foggy weren't gonna be in it, they were gonna be killed off. It's kinda gonna be like a soft reboot of the Daredevil series, but then a lot of people hated that, a lot of people raged against it, and they were like, "No, we don't wanna see that, we wanna see it continue like it was." And then they were like and then they did, like, 2 episodes of how it was initially gonna be and go like, "Nah, this" and it was even supposed to have a lighter tone from my understanding,
Yeah.
but be, like,
And there are
more
Daredevil comics with a lighter tone too. So like in theory, that itself isn't like by itself a bad thing. There's some very fun, more lighthearted Daredevil comics, but I just to jump right into that from the way the third season was would just feel kind of weird, I think. If you want to do a more lighthearted Daredevil, I think you need to build up to that tone. Like have his life improve in like a season or two, and then we can do a more lighthearted version.
Well, you saw a lighthearted version of him a little bit in She-Hulk, you did see that, so
That's
he
true.
was you did get a little bit of that where he went to
And I guess even
California.
in No Way Home too, a little bit.
Yeah, No Way Home a little bit, you saw a little bit of that. So yeah, and I thought he was fun on She-Hulk. I thought he was very fun on that show
It's probably the
there.
best part.
And he did have a different costume in She-Hulk. He had more of his classic costume that he when he
The
got first
gold, yeah,
the gold and the black. And then in the trailer, you saw he has all the different types of suits. He's got the one suit with the gold and the black. He's got the Shadowland suit, I think it's called. It's pretty much all
yeah,
black. He's got, of course, the
yeah. It's like
classic red
black
suit.
with red tips on it.
Yeah. Do you have a particular one that you like the best?
I think I like the red. I like the just the full red.
The full red?
Hard to beat. Hard to beat for me, man. It's such it's classic. It just fits his character and his personality. I mean, a lot of ways he's Marvel's Batman, and I feel like you stick to the classic color scheme. Maybe not that costume, but
You don't like this costume?
I think it's okay. It feels very Matrixy, like very like, hey, Matrix is popular. Let's get like a leather costume.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, maybe this is a hot take. I think his costume looks better than the when the
I
people.
agree with that actually, but
Okay.
I don't particularly like either. If I'm going to be honest, I think the Netflix one is just. I think there's too much like it's got so much padding with like the black on it, and it. I don't know. I wish it was more red across the whole thing, and then I also think I don't know. Maybe it's to fit Charlie Cox's face, and this is why. But I think the nose on that mask looks weird. Like I, for some reason, the nose on the front of that mask has always kind of thrown me off in the Netflix version.
I see what you can kinda say there, yeah, with
It
that.
feels a little awkward. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I look at it and it just seems a little strange.
Some people actually prefer maybe this more, like, we was just kinda use
I do too. Yeah,
it was
I
just
that was from the Frank Miller run on Daredevil, where he did kind of the proto getting into the role kind of story arc stuff. And that honestly I think is the best Daredevil has looked in live action is not even having a full on costume.
yeah. The Gold one wasn't too bad. This is one we saw in She-Hulk. That wasn't actually too bad. I actually like
Yeah,
that.
I think that looks pretty decent. I think it still kind of has the same thing with the nose though, where I'm just like that nose just looks weird to me. But
Like, it's kinda, like, hanging out a little bit or something, or it's kinda
yeah, like
smushed in.
it's almost too far. Yeah, like it almost extends out too much.
Mm. Yeah. So, yeah, you saw a lot of all these different costumes he's gonna wear there, possibly in the show, and a lot of he's gonna detail, like I said, Fisk running for mayor, and then maybe there's gonna be a possible situation. It seems like where him and Fisk are gonna have to maybe team up to stop a bigger threat. It seems like,
Mhm.
and Karen and Foggy, as far as we know, are still alive. They're still good.
They better not kill them off.
They're still gonna make it there. Like I
There
said,
was a
John
shot
Burt.
of Wilson Bethel as Bullseye in the trailer too.
Yes, there's a shot of him. Also, there's the villain who I think they said there's a newer villain in the Daredevil comics called Muse, who's a newer
Yeah,
villain.
I looked up the character a little bit because it's not one I'm super familiar with, and it looks like a very cool character, at least visually. But yeah, it's one that I don't really know at all. So I guess that's I don't know, I guess that's a cool, fun thing for me because a lot of the time I know all these characters when I go into a comic adaptation. So this is gonna be a rare time where I don't
Damn, what's he doing in this dude? Dang, poking this dude's eye out now.
poking his eyes
Uh,
out.
jeez. So yeah, you have Muse there. Uh, Seems like they're
And
gonna
then we
maybe
also
keep.
get oh sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, white is it White Tiger that they're
Yes,
also doing in the
White
show?
Tiger.
Which I read that the actor passed away from cancer already. That's playing White Tiger in the show.
Oh
Before
really?
well before it's gonna ever come out here.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So
Okay.
very unfortunate news, but yeah,
Okay, that is very fortunate there. But yeah, White Tiger. He's gonna be in there. The actor's name is Death of White Tiger actor here. Trying to find out what his name is to make sure. Um, yeah, it says he had passed away last year. There it says Kamar De Los Reyes is his
okay,
name, and he's been in other things. He was in Nixon. He was in The Cell. He was in One Life to Live. There. So he's been in some other kind of smaller stuff there.
okay,
Okay. And apparently he was first mentioned in Jessica Jones. People say he's first mentioned in that. They actually his I think his the first original White Tiger, like his father or something like that was mentioned. So that kind of set up
okay.
that to be in Daredevil there.
That's a
Um,
character I hope makes an appearance in this Daredevil reboot. I'd love to see Kristen Ritter's show back up.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if she's too busy doing Echoes, the Orphan Black spinoff show there. I don't know if she's too busy doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
She said she would like to
Uh,
come back. All of them said they would
I,
like.
yeah. I mean, just don't let Finn Jones, but everybody else,
Yeah,
fill
Mike
them into the
Coulter.
club and put the rope up. Yeah, Mike, I'd bring Mike Coulter back. I'd love to see him. Just put
Yeah.
that rope down when Finn Jones tries to get in.
Yeah. So you got that kind of going on with this, but I mean, this was I think the out of everything to come out, this probably was the thing I was most excited for.
Yeah,
Um,
100% me too.
yeah. And Disney, because there's a account on Twitter called Daredevil Updates. It just updates nothing but Daredevil stuff there that I follow just for all the latest stuff. And they've tried to upload that trailer like 3 different times. And so yeah, Disney keeps taking it down, and keeps doing stuff there with that. But yeah, uh, I think this looks good. I mean, this is coming out, Daredevil Born Again. I think it's 7 months. They say 7 months is what coming out. But let me look for an
Okay.
exact date. March 2025 is
Okay.
when
Okay.
Daredevil Born Again is coming out there. But Daredevil is
Early.
probably one of the most consistently well written characters in all the comics.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I actually just had a conversation with this the other day, with one of my co-hosts, and it's kind of similar to Batman with DC, where like there'll be kind of a period of comic books where, some of the material, just whatever writers they have, it's just not the best, for a lot of runs, kind of at the same time. But they'll like treat Batman like this prestige thing, and be like, okay, but we got to get somebody that's really good to stay on this. And Daredevil's kind of the same way, where it feels like, at least most of the time, whoever they have working on Daredevil is like a prestige writer, kind of above most of the rest of the catalog at the time.
Yeah. So these are the masks, by the way, that we see, and these are not even all of them. I think there's still like one more that is not in this frame. I think. Um,
Yeah, I think so.
um, you'll say if you put him and the Flash in a dark room, I'd have trouble telling them apart. They said
Well,
there.
with the Zack Snyder version of Flash, where it's like barely red at all.
Uh, so Daredevil Born Again is scheduled to premiere on Disney Plus in March 2025, and it's expected to consist of 18 episodes. So we're getting a good chunk of episodes here. And
Nice.
it's going to be divided into 9 episode halves. So they're going to be part one and then
Okay.
part two later on there. So they're doing that. So I mean, that's a good chunk of episodes that you're getting.
And it's a nice breakaway from like a lot of the Disney Plus Marvel series are like, all right, they're all 6 episodes, and then it feels like they rush stuff to get it all in. They're like a lot of times it feels like the plot points just don't have room to breathe or be explored. And I like the idea of short series, but when they first started doing them, my hope, and kind of the optimism I saw in it was like, well, every show could have a different number of episodes because you could just tailor the episode count to the story for each thing. And then they were like, no, they're all going to be the same number. And I'm like, all right, well, that kind of defeats the point of being able to do this with on streaming with no commercials. But to see them go for 18 with this, to me, that says like this one's different. They wrote a story that was that long, and they determined here's how long we need to tell that story. So,
Mm, yeah. So, yeah, hype, man. Daredevil Born Again coming back. It's happening. It's
I'm
returning.
hyped. I'm definitely hyped for this one. I've been
Yeah.
down on Marvel in recent years, but I will get hyped for Daredevil.
Awesome. Also stuff at D23. I mean, they showed some trailers. I'm not gonna run through all these trailers. I mean, it's like stuff like Moana 2, Snow White, Lilo and
Those
Stitch is getting.
dwarves are creepy, man.
You want to take a look at the
They,
let's
they look scary. I
let's
mean,
see.
we certainly can.
So
They're
Snow
freaking
White
me
is coming out.
out.
It's actually coming around the same time as Daredevil. It's coming out in March 21. So around the same time there. So you have Rachel Ziegler, who is going to be Snow White in this. Um,
I just saw some stills, so I have not seen the actual trailer.
oh, okay.
Just a couple still images.
Well, behold.
So whistle while you work.
And it does help that in these movies, sometimes they don't get actors who can actually sing. Like that's what happened in Beauty and the Beast, like with Emma Watson. It's like
Sure.
she's not really a singer. Here, Risha Ziegler, she's a very great singer. If you see her in West Side Story, very beautiful voice, very good singer here. Um,
Now, this is the first time I'm seeing footage of her because I just saw some screenshots of the dwarves. But can you tell me why she has the same haircut as the villain from the first Shrek movie?
it's that classic. I guess they're trying to replicate that style because isn't that the same haircut Snow White has, I guess, always had? I mean,
Maybe I don't know. I thought of Shrek before I thought of Snow White though.
let me see what Snow White originally. I mean, it's kind of similar. Let's see. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not too far off. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's just being in live action. It really. Can you pull up an image of Lord Farquaad as well? Because I really feel like that's what I'm seeing the most.
Sure.
Yeah, see, I don't know. That looks closer to that to me.
Yeah, I do see like
The
the back
way,
of the hair like that. Yeah, I do kind of
and
see
then
that.
like the on the forehead, it's also pulled back a lot more than I feel like Snow White in the animated Snow White is. Like it really like
Mm,
the hairline is just like super far. I don't know. No, I'm not trying to pick on or be mean or anything. It's just the immediate thought I had.
yeah. Well, so let's see. Let's go back here to this trailer here.
Ooh, yeah, those dwarves look rough when they're moving.
And then you have Gail Gadot, who's the evil queen in this.
I,
Who
I it strikes me as interesting that you get someone that attractive to be the I'm going to be jealous of someone else's good looks villain.
that, I mean, that's what
Uh,
some people did mention. It's like, some people did mention that. I mean, not say Rachel Zegler looks bad. I mean, Rachel Zegler is a very beautiful woman there. Uh,
no, she's pretty as well. You'd think that you'd want like someone that's maybe got just more of a reason to be jealous. I don't know. She just.
Ulysses said here, I know from personal experience that having that many wild animals in your house is absolutely not a fairy there. Yeah.
Magic mirror on the wall.
Ooh, that is not a great line
The
delivery from her.
fairest
Damn, you didn't even let it get out of the whole thing, man. Dang. Uh, let's see.
Ooh, that's so flat.
Let's see. Let's go back. Let's.
so while you work. Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Yeah,
You don't like the creepy deer there?
that it looks too much like a cartoon
It looks
for
too
for
much
this
like
being a live action. Yeah, for this being like a live action remake, in that interacting with her looking like a real person, and
it just
it's the
kind of.
same thing with the dwarves. I think they look too much like a cartoon. Now, like this isn't Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We don't need like full on cartoons interacting with like I don't know. It's weird because they went with like the Lion King. They went so photorealistic, even though it's all animals. There, I would have thought you'd do more cartoonish because everything's CG in that. But here, it's like I would think that the CG would try and be a little more photorealistic,
So this is
considering it needs to be in a shot with real people. I don't know.
so yeah. These are the dwarves here. And these are none of these are little people. None of these are actual little people. It's like actors that they, CGI. They shrunk them down there. Um,
Right.
and then
They
so some
look
people
weird.
are mad about that. It kind of looks like Robert Zemeckis when he did uh
God.
or any of his movies
Polar,
really. Polar
the
Express,
Polar Express. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Ooh,
or any of his films.
yeah.
That's what kind of
They're,
like
they're
Robert
kind of
Zemeckis.
scary. I'm getting
They don't.
uncanny valley looking at them. They don't like. Really do not like the way they look.
So you said they're actual dwarves now. What happened to not offending Peter Dinklage there?
Yeah,
Um,
well, yeah. Weren't they gonna make them just not dwarves at all? I thought they did announce they made that decision. because it'd be offensive to have them be dwarves. And then they go back on that later then, I guess, because
because
I
this
thought they
was
made a whole thing. And it was going to be like the seven very regular people that were
like
hanging
these
out
people
with.
right here, right? Like I think they were talking
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I think maybe they went back on that.
Maybe they filmed it and they were like, "This lost all of its magic. Quick CGI them, CGI them back in."
Yeah, so maybe that was the issue there. Yeah, but I don't even know who that is. That's not Rachel Zegler, so I don't even know who that is. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think there was one time, yeah, I think there was like regular kind of people, and I guess maybe they went back on it. Um, yeah, and then I don't know, dudes have a weird hatred for Rachel Zegler for that's something she said on the red carpet or something. I don't really care. Um,
yeah.
I think because she said something. I think she dissed the movie. I think she dissed Snow White or something, and said that.
Sure. And all
Um,
the super bro Snow White stands came out of the woodwork to defend
y-
their favorite
yeah,
movie.
dudes who are die hard about Snow White lore apparently
Yeah,
care really that much about.
all about
Uh,
it.
but I think she said you want to, because like she's a damsel in distress and wanted to update it and do more of a modern version of it. But they already did that already. They did that with Snow White and the
Yeah.
Huntsman with Kristen Stewart,
Yep.
where she was basically like Joan of Arc, basically. I mean, they already did that already.
Yeah.
This was another case of like the evil queen was like kind of hotter than the actual Snow because it was like Charlize
She was
Theron.
Charlize Theron. Yeah. Yeah. Again, no reason to be jealous of Kristen Stewart. I'm sorry, but Charlize Theron, man. Come on.
Yeah. But this was kind of like diet. It was Twilight for it was the Twilight version of
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, basically. That's what this was. It
It's
was like
definitely.
to like capitalize on a lot of that kind of going on because this movie came out in oh geez, let me see when this movie came
Felt
out.
kind of like some of the live action Chronicles of Narnia stuff a little
Y-
bit too.
Yeah, like that stuff too was out. I think Game of Thrones was also still it was out at this time. Yeah, that was still popular,
Yeah.
huge at the time. You had Thor was in this. Chris, they did a spinoff movie with his character, but people didn't realize like why the fuck would I want to see a spinoff movie with the Huntsman? Who asked for that? But I remember watching this and I thought it was okay. I guess I thought it was all right. It's
Yeah,
got some
that's about how I felt. It was okay.
you
Nothing
know
special, but it wasn't like horrible.
yeah. So that's I mean they already kind of did that already. Like if you want a feminist or whatever interpretation of Snow White and she's badass and she's taking on the evil queen and raising an army, it's like well she already did that already. They already did that.
Yeah, it's
You
not a new idea. Sorry.
12 years ago they did that. So I was like, yeah, they kind of missed
Yeah,
the boat on that.
over a decade too late on that.
I mean it seems like another soulless kind of Disney remake type thing here. Snow White. It's like okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they've made so many of these at this point, man. The only one I've liked was Jungle Book. I thought that was pretty good, and nothing since. I don't know.
Ulysses said, in fairness, evil queens being hot but pointlessly jealous was an actual moral point to the original story. It's vanity as a self, a defeating sin, or whatever. That's a good
That's
point.
true. That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, because Evil Queen was hot in the animated movie too. She was hot. In that there too. So, yeah. But I mean, I wish better for Rachel Ziegler. I like her. I loved her in West Side Story. I think she's got a great voice. I think she was done dirty also in Shazam 2. She was in that, and yeah,
Oh God, wait, wait.
yeah.
Who's she in Shazam too? I just watched that
Oh,
recently.
one of the
For
guys.
another.
She's one of the.
Oh, wow, I didn't even. Okay,
Yeah,
I
she's
was
one
too
of
busy roasting the movie.
the. And then she was also in the Hunger Games movie that just recently came out.
Okay,
The Hunger Games prequel. Did you ever see that? Zachary Levi. He's doing something where he's promoting that movie he's in, Harold and the Crayon, whatever the shit is, and he's being interviewed by two
I
little
have not
kids,
seen
and then the two little kids are
this.
talking to him about Shazam 2, and they say like, "We didn't see Shazam 2. Was it good?" And then he said, "Well, yeah, I think it's pretty good." And then, oh yeah, here it is. Right? It's really funny because it's like it's like I don't know if this is a fake laugh, Hollywood laugh, but um, take a
Let's
listen
see.
right.
Was Shazam 2 any good? We didn't see it.
I thought it was pretty good.
Was Shazam?
I don't know
Oh,
if he's
I don't
faking through
know.
the.
It might be a real laugh, but it sounded like there was some pain behind it.
Yeah, because I mean that movie didn't do well at the box office, so it did not.
I just watched it and it was not good.
Yeah, and I thought it was
Really not good.
because that movie came out what last year or
Um, I want to say 22, but it might have been 23. I'm not positive.
yeah, it did. Okay, it did come out last year, and it wasn't as good as the first one. It wasn't very because I liked the
Not even
first one.
close. Yeah, I like the first one. I thought that was one of the better DCEU movies, that first one. But
Yeah,
I guess just like Wonder Woman, they could not
yeah,
go for a second one. They could not keep it around.
uh, and,
And they had some odd like sexually inappropriate undertones at times as well in Shazam too.
like with him trying to have sex with Wonder Woman or
No, it was Rachel Ziegler's character as the like
oh
6,000-year-old god, like having a weird relationship with one of the foster kids. And then
yeah,
the movie even stops and points out how weird it is because the foster parents are like there when they kiss and they're like, we should stop them, right? Like this isn't okay. Like in the movie, they say that. And it's like, what? Okay, it's weird enough, but then you point it out and then let it continue. I don't know. That was odd. The Skittles product placement did not help.
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Skittles, and she literally says "taste the rainbow" too in it. It's like oh my god.
She goes, taste the rainbow, motherfucker, and it cuts off right before she finishes. But she like
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so
they
you get
literally say that it's the Skittles are the closest thing to ambrosia, the food of the gods that mortals have. That is a
mm,
line of dialogue in the movie.
I think what Helen Mirren says that right or
I think it's the kid, the
oh the
young kid.
kid. Oh okay, yeah. That yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened there.
I don't even like Skittles, so that really rolled off me.
Only Skittles I like is the sour ones. I think the sour ones are pretty okay.
Yeah,
Um,
give me some M&Ms over Skittles.
I don't know. So yeah, you got that one. So yeah, like I just wish better for Rachel Ziegler. I think she's talented.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure she's better than that movie. Anything that movie's going to achieve.
then there's was Moana 2, so that's a sequel. It's gonna be no music in it. It's not gonna be like the first
Really,
one.
no music?
Yeah. I mean, they're not gonna be. It's not gonna be like a musical like the first one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's not gonna be like a musical there, like the first one. I don't understand why they just won't put some of these on Disney Plus. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah,
what you have that platform for, right? I mean, Disney Plus. I
right.
mean, put it on
And they
there.
forced how many Pixar movies in a row onto Disney Plus instead of releasing them in theaters. So,
Yeah,
but not the Disney movies, I guess.
yeah. I remember, we was growing up. I mean, we had the direct to DVD sequels, Lion King and Hercules
True.
and all that other stuff that just direct to DVD. This shit didn't come in theater.
Lion King 2.5 or whatever this, whatever it was.
Yeah. Then there's like a look at Stitch if you want to. If you're I don't know if you're a Lilo and Stitch guy. If you
I
grew
like
up with
the original movie. I'm very skeptical of a. He
does it
does
look
not
cute?
look blue enough.
Doesn't look blue enough.
Yeah, he looks like it looks almost like too gray.
Mm. I could see that. I could see making him a little bit bluer.
I mean, he's cute. I mean, he looks close enough to the what the original is. The design's fine. Um, yeah, the movement or whatever. It's the mannerisms seem good. Um, yeah, I wish like the color seems not as pronounced as I would like it to be. But yet again, it's just you're not going to do as good as the cartoon. Like again, they've had one. The Jungle Book is the only one of these live action Disney remakes that I enjoyed. And I just time after time they have you said it yourself, soulless. They feel soulless. And I would be shocked if that movie didn't feel like another one. Like the
So
long line.
the Lilo and Stitch one's coming out in 2025. That's when Lilo and Stitch is coming out. Incredibles 3 that got announced.
I would
Okay.
like to be more excited because that's my favorite Pixar movie is that first one. But I just didn't think the second one was very interesting. So
Yeah. Second one's tough because like people waited over a decade for the sequel. It's like, man, I can't wait for a sequel for Incredibles and what they're gonna do and all that anticipation and then leaving it. I was like, oh, it's all right. It's good. It's not as good as the first
Yeah.
one. But it's just okay. You know.
I mean, I think the problem for me is the first Incredibles. It's the difference between a children's film and a family film. I think the first Incredibles is a family film because for adults, there's a really interesting commentary on the change in the comic book industry and the style between the golden age to the silver age of comic books. So there's really, really kind of interesting commentary on like the nature of the comic book medium and superheroes changing over time in different eras. And then the second one, I think, feels like just a children's movie, where there didn't feel like there was a deeper thematic sense in that second one. I think that was my biggest disappointment with it.
Yeah. I like some good things they did. I like Mr. Incredible being stay-at-home dad, and that was funny. I think they think this
Yeah,
was
some of the role reversal stuff I thought was good, and the movie has good moments, and I do think it's a good like children's film. I do think it is a good kids movie. I just don't think it's a great family film like I think the first one is.
yeah. And then also the villain you can see coming a mile away. Like, okay, I already,
Oh yeah, almost immediately. It's just
like
like,
who the villain
oh,
is.
it's clearly this person the second they walk on screen.
Yeah. Toy Story 5. They announced that was coming. That was already pretty much announced that they were going to do that there.
And
Um,
I every time they announce another Toy Story movie, I'm just like, oh my God, you guys, you have an opportunity to just like have this little, like perfect legacy after three, right? It was just like you guys had such a perfect ending. You don't have to do more. You could preserve that. And I mean, I think I was skeptical going in. I thought it was better than I was expecting it to be. But I still don't think it was as great as the first three. But I do still think it had a decent, pretty decent ending again, where I'm like, all right, you could leave it now. You could preserve this legacy, and I'm just like, all right, now they're going to fight like iPads or something for kids' attention in this one.
says here they're going to fight an army of 50 Buzz Lightyear toys controlled by computers.
Oh, okay. They released like a still image where it was like it was like a bunch of the toys standing on the edge of a bed, and this kid had the blanket over them, and you could see like the light from like an iPad, and so it looked like so. I guess with the Buzz Lightyear thing, I'm assuming they're more electronic or like they have more computer chips in them or something like that. So it's gonna be
Uh,
like old school toys versus new school toys or something.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, what toys do that now? Like, I guess got like
I don't know any toys.
that's,
Any modern toys.
so yeah, this is the image you're talking about. Yeah, like all of them just look. I mean, she's the iPad kid. She just got the iPad
Yeah.
now. That might be interesting. I mean, to take a kind of commentary on that, like kids who now are just,
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, kids, do they play with toys anymore? They just go straight to the iPad now and play little games on the iPad. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We might have been the last generation to grow up with like action figures and stuff. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing I want to see that could make the movie for me. I want to see the Woody and Buzz and our cast of characters get fed up with that iPad and recreate the scene from Office Space
Mhm. I could see that happen.
with the copy machine.
Oh, I could definitely see that happening there. And it doesn't take much to break these new technology now. It doesn't. You know what I mean? Like,
If it's an
uh,
Apple product, just put it outside when it's raining.
put it outside when it's raining, drop it there. Like, it doesn't take much to do that thing. It was the copier, right? Copying machine there. Let
Yeah,
me
it's a
see.
copy machine.
Let me see if I can pull that up there. Oh man. Oh, I typed in the office and not office space. I'm thinking, um, yeah. And then yeah, this was this iconic scene from the movie there that they did. I could see this happening definitely.
Like Buzz, Woody, and Jesse or something like that.
And that piece of shit, printer machine won't work there. Man, jeez. Oh yeah,
Get
I could
Bullseye the horse in there to do like a double back kick on it.
definitely. Um, but I mean, Toy Story 5, I don't know, they keep going to the well and it keeps working, so,
Yeah, I mean, I still think four was good. I don't think it was as great as the kind of initial trilogy of movies. So I feel the diminishing returns starting a little bit with that one. Not that it was bad. I still thought it was good, but I'm it was a little bit of a step down from three for me. So I'm worried that that'll happen again if they keep going back to it.
Frozen 3 they announced. I've never really been
I
big
didn't.
into Frozen.
I never even saw the second one.
Um, did I see the second one? Can't remember. I know I saw the first one, but I can't remember if I saw the second one. And Frozen for
I
me
saw
is
it once, and I just decided I'd let it go.
I've never really been big on the Frozen movies myself there. It's never been my type of thing there. But I think the first one made like what a billion, right? Or something. Or
Yeah,
the
it was.
two?
I mean, it was incredibly financially successful. I mean, I wasn't super big on it either. I thought it was okay. I'm like, I get why kids are into it, but it's not really doing anything for me. I guess if anything, I think the only thing I really remember coming away from that movie thinking is like a big positive is like it was kind of cool that they inverted the Prince Charming trope. I remember thinking that. I was like, they kind of did a twist on that I thought was kind of nice. It just
Yeah.
wasn't the typical thing. So I don't know. But for the most part, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of for me, it's a very take it or leave it kind of thing.
Yeah. The first two did make over a billion. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. So high expectations
No
for
wonder.
third one there. For that one, I don't know. Put Iceman in there. Get me interested.
There we
Put
go.
hey,
You'll
do a
get me in the
crossover.
theater.
Yeah, I mean they own both anyway. Put Iceman in there. Put Iceman. Who's another ice person from Marvel? Put
From Marvel? Um,
what's got ice powers there?
is that like K-pop star character that is like recent that they put in the Marvel Rivals game? I forget her name, but she's like pretty new character from the comics.
Oh, I think I know
Um,
you talking about there. Let's see.
I hadn't even heard of her from the comics before that
Luna
game got
Snow.
announced.
Put
Luna
in
Snow, there you go. Yeah.
yeah.
Why
Put
don't,
in
well,
her.
why don't we get DC involved? Killer Frost, Mr. Freeze, Captain Cold.
Uh,
I can think of a lot more DC ice characters than
Yeah, I was
Marvel.
thinking. I was like, yeah. I was at first. I was gonna say, oh, and bring in Killer Frost. I was like, oh wait, that's DC though. Yeah. So
I'm
yeah, there's
sure
that.
Charles Xavier would have had something to say about the way her parents treated her, though.
Zootopia 2. They announced that. I don't think I've
I
seen the
still
first.
haven't seen the first one.
Yeah, I have not. I heard it's good though. I
Okay.
hear it's good.
I've heard a lot
Uh,
of great things. I've also heard a lot of scary things on the internet about what people did after the movie came out. So I
yeah, a
don't know if
lot
that.
of Rule 34 there. Ulysses said Snowflake and Safe Space there.
Not ice power related, but cringy, that's for sure.
Uh,
I don't know
so
if you saw that when that when
oh
that
yeah,
happened.
those characters I did see that. Yeah, I thought it was a joke at first. I thought maybe like
I did
a
too. I think most people
parody thing.
is the initial impression.
More Star Wars stuff. They're doing another Star Wars show, Skeleton
Oh
Crew.
yay. My favorite
Um,
thing.
yeah, and this one is supposedly like a Goonies type thing called Skeleton Crew. I haven't seen this trailer. Have you seen the trailer?
I haven't watched the trailer. I saw a couple stills, but that's it.
Let's see. Let's check out this trailer. It's only a minute and 40.
Tomorrow's test will set the course of your entire future.
Huh. Have you ever seen the middle class in Star Wars before?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, this looks like suburbia in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with an infinite number of planets, you'd get something like that in this massive world or universe. But how interesting is suburbs in Star Wars? How fun will that be to watch? I guess is the question.
Yeah. I mean, isn't this the same thing as like what George Lucas did with Dexter Jettster? Isn't it kind of
Yes, that's what it feels like, and this is definitely
like he's running a 50s
that's
diner
fun.
in space?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't you ever
Very
want to join
greasy alien man with his 50s diner.
Yeah.
anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more pretend.
Oh, he's an iPad kid too. Look, they even got that. He's an
Oh,
iPad.
they got iPad kids in Star Wars.
Yeah. Look at that. It in Star Wars, would you know if they have like well, I guess so because it was in the holiday special, right? They have like TV shows and stuff people watch,
Oh
right?
yeah. There was Yeah, Chewbacca's wife watches like a weird. I still am not 100% sure, but I think racially insensitive cooking show in that holiday special.
Yeah, so I guess yeah, people in the galaxy do watch shows and stuff like that. I guess so they did do that.
Hey, the holiday special made it canon, you know.
Okay.
Found something buried in the woods. What do you think it is? I think it's a lost Jedi temple. Hello? Be careful where you step.
They're not kidding about the Goonies part.
Yeah, I mean, very much Goonies, which I've never. Have you seen Goonies? I've never seen Goonies.
Oh yeah, I think it's a classic. I keep waiting for some alien to pop up here and shout, "Hey, you guys!"
Really lost.
Tis dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
Oh, the kid's gonna murder people like Anakin when he jumped into the ship and murdered people.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was being reminded of. Again, another red flag. Oh, what's up, Jude Law?
Yeah. So, what do you think?
It's not really doing a whole lot for me. I mean, I like the Goonies, and it's reminding me of that, but not necessarily in like a creatively ambitious way. It just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of has a here's another Star Wars show vibe. Um, I'm tired of this franchise, man. I'm very tired of it. Like, there's good stuff here and there, but I, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just getting the vibe that this is going to be another thing that is just not for me.
So it says very much. It says taking inspiration from classic Steven Spielberg like E.T. and Hook. And we get a first look at what the suburbs is like in Star Wars universe there. And this is
I was
taking
always wondering.
yeah, I mean, in case you weren't wondering, well, here it is. I mean, in case you were wondering what what a suburb would look like in Star Wars, well, it looks like a suburb. Looks like exactly how
Yeah,
a suburb looks if you've ever been to a
yeah.
suburb before.
It's too
Um,
reminiscent of Earth to me.
yeah, suburbia there. I mean, yeah. And this is taking years after the Return of the Jedi, so that's the timeline there.
Interesting. It's another thing where like this bothers me with a lot of Star Wars things, the prequels. Right? I think we talked about this when we reviewed Phantom Menace not that long ago, but and at least that takes place before it is a prequel. But if you're telling me this takes place post Return of the Jedi, so much of it looks too clean and shiny. I don't know. There's like that grungy aesthetic that classic Star Wars had. Star Wars Child Soldiers Edition. I mean,
So,
hopefully they're not going that hard with it, but
so it's about four kids lost in the galaxy trying to make their way back home, basically there.
more
So
of
it's
a
like
classic adventure story.
yeah, they get lost, they got to find their way back. Yeah, so I'll see that there. I don't know, maybe
I'm gonna assume that Jude Law plays a character who's initially friendly and then kind of betrays them, but also warms up to them near the end and then betrays whoever he betrayed them for.
that's good. Maybe that's a good way for that. I mean, it says he's a. I mean, you see in the trailer at the end, it's like a Jedi, so he's a Force user. So I don't know if he'll be
Yeah,
good or bad or that. Yeah. I mean, I like Jude Law. Jude Law's a fantastic actor. Fantastic, brilliant
love
actor.
Jude Law. Love,
Fantastic.
he's great. I yeah, it reminds me so much of Earth that I have a hard time getting into a setting like that. I mean, you mentioned Dexter's 1950s diner. I also had that feeling hard in uh, The Last Jedi when they go to like the 1920s casino planet. I had that same feeling there. I was just like, come on, this is too much like something I'm familiar with. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously the whole thing won't be taking place in that suburb, but oh god.
Did I by the looks of him?
Obi-Wan. Hello, Dex. Take a seat. I'll be right with you.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's best friend.
Do you want a cup of Joe with you?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know why this cook at this diner would know all this very good information, but I guess he does.
I mean, that also plays into like maybe the dumbest moment in that movie, which is when the bounty hunter hires a bounty hunter that hires a droid that hires some poison slaves to do that assassination.
You can tell me what this is. Wow. What do you know?
Wow, what do you know? Like, jeez.
I know
Uh,
exactly what this is down to the detail. It could give you every little aspect of where it came from.
well, I mean, hey, I guess he's the alien. He's been around for a minute. He's been around for a long time.
When are we going to get like a Cheers style show about that diner? That's what I'm wondering.
That's hey, don't speak that into existence. What's gonna come in next? Yeah, cheers. In space. That's what they're gonna do. Um, they showed another trailer for Agatha All Along. They showed that.
I have not
Ooh,
seen that.
they just show a little bit more footage, a little bit more Aubrey Plaza in it.
This is one of those Marvel properties where I'm like, guys, there's a lot of characters in Marvel. Are you sure you want to make a show about the Fantastic Four's babysitter? Like,
uh,
are we sure we're going that deep into the barrel of characters for their own properties? Like,
well, they need something, man. They need to fill this content for this streaming service, man. They need to put out something, and they
I
need
mean,
it. So
yeah, it just feels like it feels so far away from. I don't know. It's like that's like yes, this character was super fun in WandaVision, and I get that song was trending and charting for a bit, but like
it was even
just
nominated for a Grammy.
I mean that's definitely high accolades, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm very skeptical about this one. I just feel like this doesn't feel like Marvel even to me. I don't know.
Feels like CW.
Yes, yes, it does. It was
Uh,
like CW doing their version of Wicked to compete with the Wicked movie.
yeah, I think there's even a moment in the trailer she goes green. Even there's a moment, and like, I think we missed it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it was. I think I saw it. It was just a moment ago, but she
Yeah.
definitely did.
Um. Yeah. I like them. I mean, doing magic, going weird, and I like Catherine Hahn. I think Catherine Hahn. I mean, I haven't
Yeah,
really. She's usually a supporting player in a lot of things, not really the lead there and stuff.
sure. And
And
that could be maybe a fun opportunity for her.
yeah, to see. And I like Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza, I like too, and things.
I like her a
Um.
lot.
Yeah, and I think this is Wiccan. I think they said the guy in this is supposed to be Wiccan. That's
Yeah, that boy that like looks like he's in his like teens or maybe early 20s. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he's Billy. Yeah, he's supposed to be the older version of Billy.
yeah. So you have that kind of going on. So I don't know if she already knows that that's Wanda's kid and it's all grown up, or I don't know how. Because
Which they disappeared, right? They
yeah,
don't exist anymore.
yeah, but I don't know how she's because the series is about her like trying to break out of the trap that Wanda. Well, she does break out of the trap that Wanda puts her in, right?
Yeah,
And then she's trying to get her powers back. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
yeah, she's trying to do that. So yeah,
Trying to like
I don't know.
reconvene an old coven or something.
Yeah. Ulysses said, "My career as a diner owner with a plumber's crack has prepared me to analyze microchips there." And then he says, "This looks like a high budget Charmed." So CW is very accurate.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Charmed is a good comparison.
Rest in peace to Shannon Doherty. By the way, passed away.
Yeah,
56, I think she was passed away. They showed a little bit of footage of Fantastic Four. I mean, it was like them just kind of saying like, "Hey, we can't be there because we're filming the movie." So that was kind of it. And they show
yeah.
the costumes and everything like that. And you said you liked it. You like the retro
I like
costume.
it. I in
Uh,
particular because they only showed Johnny's in his costume, right?
yeah, they just showed Johnny.
So what I think is really cool about that costume, and this might not immediately land with people if you're not familiar with like the way the Human Torch is drawn, especially in older comic books. But there's this like line work in the Human Torch, like when he's on fire. There's this like line work in the character design because like his suit doesn't burn up, right? So he's always got the suit on, and it looks like the line work on that costume he's wearing, to me it looks like it's there so that it can kind of replicate that imagery of the way he looks in the old school artwork, which I think that's actually really really cool.
So like, let me see. Let me pull up this image. So like right here.
Yes, exactly. Yep, the way the line work is drawn across his body, it's always like, at least my impression of that was always that it's like that's the suit underneath the fire because it doesn't burn, right? It's kind of made special for that. So it's like the suit lines and the fabric kind of showing through the fire a bit still. And the way his costume, if you zoom in, especially on the white part of the costume in the new movie, it looks to me it looks like they're trying to kind of create that effect to
Oh, kind of looks like a flaming hot right there. Kinda a little bit like that. Uh,
it.
let me see. Let me go back to the movie here. So this is yeah. So only he was in costume. There
Yeah.
and you got the rest of the family right here. You got Sue, Vanessa Kirby, and the Human Torch is played by Johnny Stone. Is played by Joseph Quinn, who people might know he's in Stranger Things. He just also was in A Quiet Place. Day One. Vanessa Kirby, she's been in the Mission Impossible movies. She was in Hobbs and Shaw. Pedro Pascal, he's been in everything you've ever seen in the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Um, Shout out to him getting a lot of work. Shout out to Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal.
Working
Um,
man.
and you can even see him. He was like in a very early episode of Buffy.
He
He's
was.
yeah,
It's in I believe in season 7. There's an episode where like everybody gets like split up, and the Buffy part is she's like picks up a vampire that just comes out of the ground, and it turns out to be an old high school classmate. And so the whole episode, she's like kind of catching up and reminiscing with him, and that's the Pedro Pascal character that he played.
yeah. And then you have Eben Moss Bacharach, who plays Ben Grimm there. Who actually already had an MC role. He was Microchip. He was in the Punisher series
Yeah,
here.
and the Punisher series. Yeah.
Which I forgot that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, he was Microchip in that. But also he's Cuzzo in The Bear. Very good in
Hmm.
that. Cousin, yeah, good old cousin. So yeah, there's that there.
If it weren't for
Remember,
Robert Downey Jr., I'd be really excited about this movie.
there's rumor that he is going to make an appearance at the end, like a stinger.
I'm guessing he'll be the post credits
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that's the rumor.
Which I guess that's fine. I can look forward to this movie because he'll be relegated to a small, very small role. But past that movie, I'm just like, I don't know if I care.
Would you wear this?
I don't know. Not about that. Maybe not.
Oh,
It's a little party city.
Little parts. Oh, I think it looks. Well, I guess it looks kind of cool. I guess something low effort you could put on. Like, hey, I'm a Fantastic
Yeah, I
Four.
mean, you're just going around like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it'd be all right. It'd be all right.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite member of the Fantastic Four?
Ooh. I think the thing. I think
The
his
thing.
his struggle is the most grounded and kind of like having to kind of come to terms with, at least in his mind, being like deformed and kind of fitting into society. That feels the most kind of grounded as far as a character arc goes. I mean, I think that I mean I like the Fantastic Four in the comics a lot. Honestly, I really like those characters, and I've been very disappointed by every adaptation that's been done of them up to this point. So I mean, it's one of the things that Marvel has yet to do themselves in the MCU that I like really am just like, please don't fuck this up. I really want to see at least one time the Fantastic Four done justice.
You want him without the shorts or shorts?
I with the shorts. I want him. I want the shorts. I want it. I want some of the goofiness of it. I think Fantastic Four. I think some of the trouble with a lot of the adaptations in the past has been you put them in a modern setting, it could be too easy to try and modernize them in terms of aesthetic and try and make them like conventionally like badass and cool.
Like this?
You know, well, I mean, I don't think that was really successful. I don't know what it was trying to do, but it was definitely not successful at it. But I think that, I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to this one, at least in part, because it's doing the retro 60s aesthetic. And I think it's going to allow itself to kind of slot into the maybe goofiness of the way the Fantastic Four looked in the 60s comics, and just kind of allow itself some of the cheesiness of that. I mean, I've always said that to me, the best Fantastic Four movie, at least in my mind, idealizing it, would be The Incredibles meets classic Star Trek.
Mm.
It's kind of the feel that I feel like it should have.
This is he wants to see Zack Snyder's version of the
No,
Fantastic.
you don't. No, you do not.
Uh, and then after that, let's see, Avatar 3. They're gonna make Avatar 3 called Fire and Ash. Um,
It's already making me tired.
I saw some images of that. It looks good. I mean, these movies to me look very visually beautiful. I think they look really beautiful. I mean, obviously he's had over, a decade to work on these movies and do all that stuff there. I guess he's gonna run through all the elements. I guess he's gonna go through all the elements, like
I think
the.
we have like six plans.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a big series. It's gonna be pretty big. I don't know if
Uh,
he's gonna actually get to do all those, but I mean, hey, if they keep making $2 billion, then yeah, I guess so. Um,
yeah, somehow they do.
yeah. And he says he wants to come back to Terminator. He says he wants to do Terminator. He wants to come back to do Terminator.
I mean, that's another one of those franchises that I wonder if it's even worth it to keep trying.
Yeah. I mean, hasn't he been a producer on all the other movies? He's
At
been like,
least for sure the last one. I know,
oh
like for sure the Dark Fate movie, which was
yeah.
a bore.
Yeah, he said, "Man, this is so true to my original film. This is a great movie." Yeah, it's like, yeah. And
Well, if Ridley Scott can lose it in his old age, James Cameron can lose it in his old age.
yeah. Oh, I forgot that was directed by Tim Miller. Ugh, I forgot that was directed by him. Yeah. So there's that. They're doing Freakier Friday. They're doing a Freaky Friday sequel. They're doing that.
Okay. Huh.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan's coming back. Tron, Ares is there.
Really, they're going back to the Tron well. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you like Tron Legacy?
I remember thinking the music was great and some of the visual effects were cool, but I remember the story just being really, really boring.
Yeah, and, I forgot who did the music for the last one. Was it Daft Punk or was it Nine Inch Nails?
I think it was Daft Punk.
Okay, so Nine Inch Nails is doing the new one. Yeah, and people
Okay.
wanted
Well,
people
maybe
like
they'll have a great soundtrack.
yeah, because they do really well. They've Trent Reznor's had this whole career now as a composer and things like that. Like he's shifted careers now, so that's pretty cool for
Yeah.
him. There they did that. So yeah, so Tron Ares there. What else is
Are
there?
they going to do CGI Bruce? No, sorry, CGI Jeff Bridges again?
I think so. Yeah, they are going to do that again. Because I think
It'll probably look better this time.
I forgot what happened. I've seen that. I only saw that movie when it first came out. I forgot so much about what
Same.
happened with Tron Legacy, but I think they are going to have like a version of him again. Yeah, because Jeff Bridges is
No,
listed. Um,
yeah. Okay. I just remember thinking, wow, like Jeff Bridges is looking at me from the bottom of the uncanny valley, just staring.
yeah, that's when they first. That was like the real big first trial of that whole de-aging technology stuff. Now
Yeah.
MCU really cracked it. They really cracked it
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like you see like Kurt Russell in Guardians or Samuel Jackson. It's like, okay, they really got it now.
They definitely did pull it off.
Yeah. But this was
Samuel Jackson was easy though. He aged really well.
this was rough. Oh man.
Yeah, that's oh wow. I remember it looking bad, but ooh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
And that's a still image. It's gonna look even worse in motion.
Yeah. I forgot all the stuff that happened in this movie. Yeah. But it's good. It's good cast. My girl is in it. Oh, Greta Lee. I love Greta Lee. She was in Past Lives. I love her. Greta Lee's in it.
There you go.
I might see it just for Greta Lee. Evan Peters is going to be in it. Hassan Minhaj is going to be in it. He's like a comedian.
Yeah, I definitely have seen him a little bit.
Jodie Turner Smith is going to be in it. Gillian Anderson is going to be in it.
Interesting.
I don't see Garrett Hedlund because he was in the last one. I don't see him. He's not gonna be in the last
Is he the like the kid or the son in the
I think he was I
that
think he was
movie?
the son, yeah, of the Jeff Bridges character, I think. Yeah.
He didn't make much of an impression, I'll say that.
Yeah, Garrett Hedlund, yeah, he was like one of those guys that Hollywood was really trying to push for a little minute, like kind of like Sam Worthington. I felt like a little bit like, oh, this is
James Cameron's still trying to push Sam Worthington.
yeah. Well, hey, man, he's in the most successful film franchise, Sam Worthington. So,
I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone sometimes with Avatar. I know, like I do not get it.
what else is here? You got also some original stuff there, like Win or Lose, Monster Jam. Some like original content that Disney's also going to come out with. Hoppers, they're Mufasa. They're doing yeah, Hoppers. Yeah, it's the newest original film starring John Hamm and Bobby Moynihan. Um,
Are they like are they like breaking the bottles and huffing like hoppers or like what's this movie about?
apparently it's about badgers. Apparently
Oh,
here
okay. That's definitely not what I was expecting.
or beavers, or I think this is a beaver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And based on the name, I thought like, all right, Disney's doing like a crime, like a drug crime movie or something.
Mufasa, the Lion King. They're doing a prequel to Lion King. Doing that. That's still happening.
That's coming out soon, isn't it?
When's this? Yeah,
Is that
December of this year.
okay? That's so weird. Did you see them say that they want to do a Lion King cinematic universe? Like this is just the one of many spin-offs and sequels they want to do. Like they want Lion King to be a whole cinematic universe alone.
I think I did hear them maybe say something about that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is I'm blaming the audience. I don't blame the audience for a lot, but I'm blaming y'all. Y'all went to go see Lion King for some reason, even though it was the same movie as the animated, line by line. It's the same fucking movie with a little added difference, and then we get this. This is y'all fault. I gotta blame the audience.
I didn't spend a dime on it too, so I can sit this blame out on this one.
Yeah, and this, I think this kind of like I hate to get this is gonna sound so stupid, but betrays the Lion King lore, I guess, because it's saying that
Does it?
Mufasa like usurps Scar, because Scar was the one that was supposed to be, but Mufasa usurped him in that.
Oh,
So I think it's breaking, like Lion King lore or some shit with doing that. So it's like that.
yeah, that is weird because, like, I mean, Skyr, the whole thing was he was like, "Oh, I don't deserve this and didn't earn it and don't have the birthright, but I'm gonna kill my brother and take it anyway." Or you
Yeah.
know,
And they still
I'm definitely
this shot was in Lion King. This was in the animated movie. Like this shot where they're
yeah,
jumping on the hip was like this was in Lion King.
yeah,
The
shot
fuck?
for shot,
Yeah. What?
pretty much shot for shot. The no point, and also with how realistic the animals' faces are, it's like, are you getting any emotion really from these versions of the characters?
Yeah. Like that's the thing. It's like, I don't even know how this is like live action. Like this is animated. Like I don't know how it can, like they say it's live action. It's like no,
Right.
this is animated.
It's well, and it's animated, and yet it's too realistic of animation for me to connect with what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I might as well just watch Animal Planet. I might as well just sit home
Yeah,
and watch Animal Planet.
yeah, way better, way more interesting.
You used to say cute animals sell. That is true. People do love animals. People do love those animals. And he also said make Scar great again. Yeah. So there's
Do
that.
the hyenas goose step in the movie? They do the straight up like Nazi goose step.
Uh, I would actually see that. Now, that's something good to see. To see that in live action, the CGI, like see them do
Is that
that.
the one thing they left out?
Maybe see that going on there. That'd be even freakier probably in CGI with this.
That would be terrifying.
They showed footage of the Ironheart series there. They showed like a little bit of a trailer.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I think it's probably taken down by now. But
Yeah, they took that down. They're quick. I mean, Disney's pretty quick here
yeah,
with that. Yeah, I mean, I like the actress. She didn't. I mean, I think she got in the way
I
of
do like her.
Black Panther 2. I think she kind of got in the way of the movie,
Yeah,
trying to fit her in there.
she
But
felt
yeah,
very unnecessary and like she wasn't really adding anything significant to that story. It was just there to set up her own show. And I like that actress too. I mean, I've seen her. I'm trying to place it right now, but I've seen her in a few other things, and I do think she's very good. I've struggled to connect to the Riri Williams character in the comics in the past, and so her first impression in Black Panther 2 being kind of distracting, it wasn't necessarily a great sign for a character that I'm already not like particularly in. I mean, I don't like hate her or anything, but I don't know. It's for every Miles Morales and Kamala Khan, like really great kind of legacy character, there's also a number in the comics where they'll give up on him very quickly because they're just not as interesting as they want them to be. And Riri Williams has stuck around, but yeah, you're not wrong. She was kind of a human MacGuffin in Black Panther. She didn't really contribute much outside of that, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be good. The shot of her like crushing the car was kind of cool. It looked a little more practical, the suit. So I liked that, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I feel like it could go either way.
I hope they change that suit soon because that suit I thought was really terrible looking. I thought
I think the suit in the trailer for the show looked a little different, didn't it?
um, I think it looked well. It kind of looked similar to the one she had in two, right? In Black Panther
I think it
two.
maybe just looked more like used and like maybe a little more real because it had scuff marks and like not a
Mm,
completely pristine paint job, and that might have helped a little bit.
yeah, she kind of looks like a Metroid suit, almost like Metroid. Kind of looks like that
Well,
suit.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
See that?
Andor season two, that's coming. Can't wait for
Ooh,
that.
yeah, here we
Uh,
go.
there's no confirmed release date yet, but they said it's kind of like beyond season two, beyond 2025. So, there's that.
Best live action Star Wars thing, in my
Um,
opinion.
what's his name? Ben Mendelsohn. He's coming back.
Oh yeah.
As his
Okay.
character from Rogue One. He's coming back.
My
Uh,
only concern with Andor, because I really liked that first season. I thought it was great. I honestly think it's better written than the entire original trilogy and any other live action Star Wars thing. But I was not a big fan of Rogue One. I actually really thought that movie wasn't very good personally. And so the more it like the longer Andor goes on, the more I'm a little worried about it leading into that film and maybe, I don't know, becoming less interesting as a show as it goes along because it has to kind of connect into that movie at some point. And I didn't care for that movie. So I'm curious how it'll go in the long term.
hmm. Then they also showed. They talked about Mandalorian and Grogu. They're getting the movie. Yeah. They're getting the movie that's coming out May 2022, May 2022, and then on 2026. There's a lot of fucking twos there. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
Too many
Uh,
twos.
yeah. So 2026 is when this movie's coming out there.
Are you
Uh,
excited for that one?
um, Mandalorian, when it first came out, the first season, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And, this was like, because Mandalorian was like the first Disney Plus Star Wars show.
Yeah.
And when you saw it, it was like, okay, you can have, movie entertainment at your house, because of the effects. And they did that whole, what do they call that thing? The technology,
The volume, I think.
yeah, the volume thing. And that, so it looked really good. But then after a couple seasons, I was like, okay, Grogu, when he gave him away, I was like, okay, this story's done. I mean, then they were like, oh no, but we got more to tell, and we're gonna do this. Like, well, he kind of seems like not that important anymore in his own story. So it's like,
Right.
I don't know what you else
Yeah.
would you really do here. Uh,
I was kind of riding with it with um I was kind of riding with it with the first two seasons. I didn't love it though. Even then I felt like people a lot of other people were like way more into the show than me. I thought it was all right. Um and then after I actually stopped watching. I didn't after season two ended because I saw one episode of that Boba Fett show and I was like, absolutely not. I am not watching the rest of this. And then I just didn't continue with the third season, and I heard a lot of negative things about it, and it lost my attention. And so like this movie is, I mean, there's nothing about it that I that's interesting to me at least. So I don't know.
um, yeah. So Yeah, but that's coming out there. It's gonna be Jon Favreau who's directing it. Who him and I think him and David Filoni created Mandalorian. I think they created that.
Yeah, yeah. It was the
Hey,
two of them.
two of them there.
I
Uh,
mean, hey, it's made its money, I guess, but yeah.
and the character from Rebels is gonna be in it. Zeb. He's gonna be in it. They say.
I know that's kind of like the only thing I feel like I've really heard about it, where it's just like, hey, cameo, cameo. There's a character you're familiar with is going to show up. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I need a little more than that to get me interested. But
Glup Glup Shitto. He gonna be in it. Good old Glup Shitto there. Percy Jackson Olympians. That's getting to season 2. They showed a trailer of that, and yeah, that's pretty much it there. Yeah, so that was D23. I know it's getting pretty late. Are you good Wednesday?
yeah.
I
Oh,
do.
this Wednesday, I won't be around this Wednesday, unfortunately.
Okay, this Wednesday there. Okay, but when we come back there next Wednesday, we'll do Hunter there because I know it's getting
Okay.
late. We're almost at 3 hours. I don't want to keep you too long there.
I
Uh,
mean, I'm good if you are. So yeah, it's totally up to you.
um, if you're good, you're good.
I'm good.
All right, let's knock this out real quick. Let's do this.
All right.
So Hunter. We're going to be reviewing another arc of this series here. We've been reviewing it arc by arc here. After this arc, I believe we have, I think, just what 3 more after this. I believe
I think just two more.
2 more. Okay.
Yeah, one of them is really long though. So
Yeah, one of them is like 60 episodes, and then the last one I think is like only
I
18 or
think the
so.
last one's only 12.
So I'm looking. It says we have the Chimera Ant arc, the 13th
Yeah.
Hunter Chairman election arc, the
Yep.
Dark Continent Expedition arc, and the
Oh,
Succession.
I think is only in the manga so far.
Oh, that's just in the
Uh,
manga. Okay. So,
yeah,
oh
I
yeah, the
think just
show.
the ant and the election part are the only ones left.
Okay. Yeah, those are the only 2. So as far as show goes, those are only 2 there. And actually we just heard some bad news. I just sent you the mangaka there of Hunter, who's also done Yu Yu Hakusho. He says he's experienced some more bad back problems, some more back issues. So it's probably going to delay Hunter even more than what
Hey,
they.
why not cancel it? Just
I mean, you got to see to the man. The story isn't finished, man. You got to see to the end, man. Again, got to get there.
yeah.
Takahashi, yeah, says he's having back pains again. This is a Twitter post from him. He says my back hasn't been feeling well these past few days. So yeah, and then somebody says, "Well, see you another 10 years." And then this was fun. Somebody said this could mean one thing: hiatus, ex hiatus. There you have that. There, and then this person just quote tweeted and says, "Let your wife draw it, man. Just let your wife
Yeah.
do it."
I mean, he's already made like kind of a potentially posthumous plan for that exact thing. So, I mean, why not avoid the death of it and get her involved now?
Yeah. And his wife is the person who created Sailor Moon. Is his
Mhm.
wife there? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she could there. I don't know if he has a understudy that he could maybe give it to and pass it on there as well. And hey, how's it going there, Cal? Much appreciated, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, it's okay.
Hey there, man. So yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's probably gonna delay it even further. Hunter there with what's going on with him. But with this series, we've been watching it. This is my first time watching this series. I have not watched it before. So it's been an
Same.
interesting experience. And with this Green Island arc, what's happening here? So if you remember, we reviewed, which is also up on our channel right now, youtube.com, The Afternoon Tune. If you type that in, you'll be able to see our last review of the last arc, which was York, New City. And I like that one. I thought that one was good. The Phantom Troop, introducing those group of villains, facing off against them, Gon and Killua, Krippika, Linero. I thought that was really good. I like that. I like their kind of dynamic with that. You also saw some backstory with Krippika. So it's mainly focused on him a lot during that arc. So I actually quite like that. Sage felt kind of iffy about it. I think you still think is that the best arc for you, even though you don't like the series that much? There?
I'd say that was the best one. I would say that I disliked it the least.
Okay. And in this one, so it's Gon and Killua will usually pretty much teamed up together there. And they're hired by a billionaire in it there. And basically they get jumped into like this VR kind of card playing game there in a way. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh kind of. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh
Like
or
Yu-Gi-Oh and Tron.
Tron. That's a good
Right.
example there. And then why their experience of being in kind of this game, because it's also another way for Gon to kind of get closer and find his father. Like it's another clue for him to get closer to there. That's also the big overarching mission in the show. Goal in the show is for Gon to basically finally get to see his father in it. And yeah, they go to this game. They also meet another person in it who's another Nin user there. So they learn who's even a more experienced Nin user who's like, what, I think she was like over, what, 60 years old or something, or uh,
Yeah.
yes, but she takes the presence of, like, a little girl. It's like, yeah, so it's like a little girl, anime stuff there, that you got there.
That's the weird trope that I don't like.
So yeah, so they kinda learn from her some more, kind of be more experts and masters of Nin. So that's kind of the basic setup that you have of this arc. Sage, what did you think about the Green Island arc here?
Well, the last time I came on here to talk about the show, it was the most positive I've been on the whole thing so far. And this is the most negative I'll be on the whole thing so far. I really dislike this particular story arc. One of the big things is I still have yet to, across every arc leading up to this, I've yet to develop a reason to care about the world or get a sense of like what the world really kind of is and feels like still. And so for them, a whole story arc to go, all right, we're going to now take place in a fake digital world that's not even the world that I still don't care about. I really don't care about this fake video game world.
Uh, well, I mean, there's also in the world. I mean, the threat is that there's like a serial killer in it that's trying to like knock off other people in the
He's like a
game.
Unabomber kind of figure, but to be honest, I
Yeah.
couldn't help. It took me a number of episodes of looking at this character to kind of put two and two together. But after a while, I was like, oh, he's like just he looks like Fred from Scooby Doo, but like an anime Fred. And then as soon as I realized that, I'm like, all right, any threat I might have felt with this villain is completely out the window because I'm just thinking about Scooby Doo now.
Like this is the group he kind of teams up with that are like the one in the middle is the bomber there that's kind of
Yeah,
killing off
just
people.
missing a little bit of orange, and he'd be.
He does kind of. He's got the ascot on. He's kind of got yeah. He's kind of has got the Scooby Doo fit on.
Yeah, I
Um,
could not take him seriously.
and so he's killing other people. You didn't find that kind of little compelling, like him kind of going around killing other members of the game.
I mean, I laughed a few times but I could not get the image of Fred out of my head.
And it's like one of those things where it's like your consciousness is what tied to the game. So if you die in the game, you die in real life too.
Yes, yeah,
Which
very much one of those.
I don't know in media why anybody would ever invent something like that, or why somebody would jump into a game and go like, "Oh, if I die in here, I can die in real life." Like, why the fuck would I want to do that? Because it's supposed to be a video game, but okay, sure. But yeah, that's just a common trope in media that they got that in.
Well, and it's not even just like, hey, we're in a video game world, running around a video game world doing quests. It feels like they go into this video game world and then they just start like playing like a trading card game. Like it doesn't even feel like they're playing like they've been sucked into a video game and they have to play the video game like say Tron. It's like we're gonna play this card game and trade cards with each other and like I don't know. It's just to me there's just really nothing interesting about watching that process.
Because I think they were trading on Greed Island. They were trading the cards to like I guess basically just like level up. I mean, that's what they were doing. They were just like leveling up.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
you can use certain ones to do certain things in the game world, like travel to different places, and I think the goal is to like get like all of them, and then whoever collects like all of them gets access to like the ending or something like that. And I don't know, it just it felt like it felt like you took a camera crew around, and watched people open packs of cards for like for a whole story.
And this is so it's like these people jump into it. It's like a PlayStation, like they kind of got like they call it Joy Station. So clearly it was like a parody of PlayStation they got here.
Very much so.
And when this came out, I think they were. I mean, this is mainly like this looks like the PlayStation One. I mean, like back when the PlayStation
Yeah,
One came out.
I think when the manga was first coming out, that would have been right around then. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can, like, teleport into it. You stick, like, card in and you boot bam, you just kinda go into this world of Greed Island there. Um, yeah, so you got that. Um So out of all the arcs I've seen so far of the show, I will say I maybe like this the least, I would say. I like the York New City arc. I think that's my favorite one. The other ones had some good stuff in it. Like the first arc, I mentioned like all the training aspect of it of like becoming a hunter. And I guess becoming a hunter doesn't even stop even when you pass the hunter's exam because there's also extra shit you gotta that they test you on even afterwards. It's like a test that never ends,
Oh,
apparently.
watching the show is definitely a test that never ends.
They just keep testing people about different skills that they, have to develop. But yeah, I mean, I just wasn't that interested to see them kind of go to this great island and see them kind of do this trading card type of thing. Um, Story wise, I mean, what do you see it kind of adding to the series of Hunter x Hunter here?
I mean, I guess they finally developed like their actual like powers that will be like their, whatever. And I hesitate to use the word iconic personally, although I'm sure people would, but they're like specific abilities that are the character abilities for like the story, which to me is wild that like it's this many episodes into a show. I mean, we're in like what 60 something, 70 something at this point, and it's like they're only just now developing their like main abilities that are their characters are meant to be like recognized by. That seems just why again with the never-ending training arc thing I've said before, it just feels like it just is always doing that still. Um, and then, but I mean, I found this arc somewhat insulting because this is the arc where Hisoka is, I would say, at his worst in terms of being this weird, pervy, pedophile clown character that they, for some reason,
Oh,
Higashi
Hisoka?
felt the need to, Hisoka, yeah, that they, for some reason, Higashi felt the need to include in the story. I mean, there's one scene in particular where the kid, the again child characters walk on him like bathing in like a lake, and they like take the time for them to just like have a minute long scene where they're staring at his junk, and then they like start traveling together, and the scene immediately after that he's walking behind these two kids, and it's like the camera shows him licking his lips while staring at their asses, and and then very shortly after that he's like on their team in like one of the games that they have to play in this arc. And it to me it felt like the show was asking me to go like, well, you can root for this character sometimes. And I was like, no, the fuck I can't. Like, why are you trying to make this the like not totally a bad guy of the story? Like that to me felt genuinely insulting to try and get me to feel that way about this character, who is like again, this character just feels like he has just no reason or place in this story to me. And I wouldn't be a fan of it if this character wasn't included, but I hated this because of this character.
So Hisoka, I guess I could say would say he's the iconic villain of the series. I guess you would say. I mean, he's the most recognizable, the most famous one from it. And I talked about this on Twitter as well, talking about the show, and people are like, "Well, I mean, his thing is that he just really likes power. He gets that's what kind of gets him going. Not necessarily that they're children, is that he really likes being
I think you could have
challenged."
said that before this arc for sure, but I think in this one, I don't think that plays.
So you still think it's mainly a kid thing, maybe, yeah.
In this arc, I think it's abundantly clear that it is.
And I don't think you have to include him in every arc of the show. I mean, even if you left him out, I think that'd been perfectly fine. The Phantom Troop carrying over from the last arc, I think that's fine because I mean they're relatively new, so get more time with them. I did really like their characters there from the last one, and I like their whole group. You could say the Greed Island arc is supposed to again, it's more bonding with Killua and gone there with the two of them becoming closer. Like I said, training, learning new skills because they learn it from a nin master there, which is the big power in the show is nin, and I forgot all the other things of nin and ten and Ben 10, and I don't know all the other fucking power set there, but yeah, they got all those things kind of going on. Um, so you have that. So some people, I mean, it depends, I guess, on how much you really already like the characters and are that invested in the characters already to see them again grow some more of that. I just didn't think
Should have
this.
called the
I mean,
show Training X Training.
training extra could have called it that. I mean, there's more interesting. Like I mean, the first arc showed the training in more of an interesting way because it was more of like, okay, you already know this is a game in the scenario there to set
Sure.
this up. And I mean, in anime, that's the thing. Like characters level up all the time, and they get a power, and then they lose to a villain, and then they got to go train, and they got to go learn a new power, and they got to go beat the villain with the new power they learned. And then the new power they learn doesn't work against the new villain, so they lose, and then they got to, rinse, wash, and repeat. That's what Dragon Ball Z has been doing for decades. Has been doing that.
This is this is why Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, all those big shonen shows are just kind of not for me.
So I mean, I can only speak to. Well, I've watched a lot of Naruto. I didn't finish Naruto, but I watched a lot of that. And I finished Dragon Ball there. I mean, it's fun, I guess, to see that, in the fights and if you like the animation and you like what's kind of going on there, that could be kind of fun. Here, I know you said you're not that impressed by the animation, but you like some of the battle sequences, like in the last arc, right, with
Yeah,
Kripika.
yeah, I did, and I think the animation itself is good. And I think the animation has been good the whole time in this show. My issue with it stems more from the art direction or the general art style than it is the quality of the animation. It's just like the art style that I'm just kind of not that into. But the animation itself is always of quality in this show. Like that's one thing I will give it credit for. I won't knock points off for the quality of the animation. There's a lot of work put into like the movement, the fluid movement, and the kind of the way action scenes move around. Um, the yeah, that quality of the animation is not the problem. It's I think the art style and just the character designs that I don't like.
Mm. Okay. And this is a battle. I think this was in the Heavens Arena arc here. This was this
Yeah,
battle. Where it's gone versus Hisoka there. So yeah, I mean, this arc is one of the shortest ones, Greed Island arc. It's only 17 episodes. This arc is, and the next one, the Chimera Ant arc, is 61. So that's one of the largest ones there that you have.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So, it kind of being one of the shorter ones. Do you think that's what kind of impacted a little bit? Like it's just kind of, or you think the story was kind of wrapped up by the?
I mean, I wish it wrapped up faster. I I didn't feel like there was I didn't feel like there was much to this in terms of like lessons being learned by even in a like power of friendship adventure story sort of way. I just didn't feel like there was much on the way of like some great lesson or trial being learned by these characters. We just walked around, collected cards for a little while, had a clown pervert stare at them, and played one ball game in a school gym and then got out. And I just, yeah, I I can't think of one thing I liked about this arc. I really can't.
You like the training, like the teacher there learning then. I liked a little bit of that
I'll say
learning.
I didn't feel actively negative about that part, but it was so it was to me it was boring. To me it was just dull, and I feel like there's so much of the show has already been about training arcs. And I'm like I don't know. It feels like usually in a story I expect it to have gone on for a while before I feel like it's totally just repeating itself. But here it's like we're almost doing nothing but.
And I haven't seen the next arc yet. I'll watch that when we do the next review there. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens in that next the Chimera Ant arc there. You've already seen it.
I'll
You
tell
already
you I'll tell you more happens than happened here. I'll tell
okay.
you that for sure.
Well, I mean, at 61 episodes, you would hope so. Um, yeah. So, what would be
Maybe
your
not as much as you'd hope for 60 episodes.
so what are your what's your rating for this arc?
Man, I like I said, last time I came in here, it was the most positive I've been. This is the most negative I think I've been on the show. This arc is a straight up burn it.
Wow.
If if it was just more training, that would be one thing. But watching them play this card game was painfully dull. And then the show trying to get me to like root for like a pedophile, I was just like, no, no. Like now I feel actively insulted by the show. So this is a burn it. This is I like actually kind of hated this story arc.
Wow. I won't go so far as a burn it. I've never given a burn it to so far any of the arcs here. I'd give it kind of more of a stream it personally. Yeah, I mean, it's just not really clicking with me, like Yu Yu Hakusho, like
Yeah,
his first series there. So many people love this anime and are big fans of it. And we got like I said, 2 more arcs to go here, at least anime wise. I know in the manga, it's on a other arc right there. It's on another arc. I don't know how long he says he wants to continue this. Like how many arcs are supposed to be left? Like, have you heard anything
that I'm
about
not
that?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I want to say it's I want to say I heard it's like more than halfway for sure, but I don't know exactly how far along that is.
Okay. And I know, like, with Oda, I mean, he said, like, One Piece has at least, like, maybe a year, 2 years left to finish everything and be done, and then
I can see him vastly underestimating it too.
yeah, so I don't know, maybe maybe he's just like, "Okay, wait, I got a lot more to say," and then maybe does 3, 4 more years, but that's what he at least says, I think right now is maybe, like, a year and a half, 2 years. So I don't know how long this is supposed to go on, what's going on there, but yeah, I mean I don't know. Maybe they'll turn around. I don't know. Maybe they'll get way better for me in the Chimera. Maybe the Chimera and arc is one where I just am really super impressed with, and I go like, oh, this is why everybody loves this show. The characters are. I'm not super in love with the characters. They're fine for me. They're okay. But we'll see. So I just give it a stream it for me for this Greed Island arc here. Um, yeah. So you gave it a burn it. I gave it a stream it for Greed Island there.
Might be your most downvoted videos on YouTube.
And a lot of people really, really, really love it. Yeah, I mean, it's a very popular anime. Hunter x Hunter is. But I follow Mighty Keith. He's been uh, live reacting to watching Hunter x Hunter, and he's had many of the similar thoughts to you about the Hisoka character. He's had a lot of the similar thoughts there.
I'm
Um,
glad I'm not alone.
all right, people. Thank you for staying with me for so long. We're gonna be heading out of
Yeah, yeah.
here. Sage, one more time, where can people find what you got going on, man? All that good stuff.
Yeah. You can find me over at Rated M for Immaturity on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, all under that exact same handle. Tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. CST, we're going to be returning to the Adventures of Gollum. Can't wait for that. It's been a wonderful bad game roast, which we will hopefully be doing, finding more games to do that with in the future. Otherwise, Will Long Fallen Dynasty is our new kind of Souls-like. We're starting up on Saturday nights. And every other Friday, which I believe is on for this Friday, our two of our hosts also do some bonus streams occasionally throughout the rest of the week as well.
Very nice. This is your channel right here, Twitch channel, Rated M for Immaturity. But we can find you right here, right here as well. Rated M for Immaturity, right there, that name. Also, the same thing on YouTube, Rated M for Immaturity. Let me pull that up real quick here. Uh, very good guys there, big crew. How many people on the crew?
At this point, I think there's been like 11 different people on the channel.
11 different people on the channel. The Wu Tang of Twitch there. Very
We're
nice.
far too white for that.
So and then also uploading the streams onto YouTube right here. YouTube rated M for Immaturity there, right there. Get to 100 subs. It'd be nice to do that. Very, very good there. With Afternoon Tune. You can follow us on all social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, all that Afternoon Tune. Just type that in and be able to find us. If you want to send us an email, you can do so at theafternoon@gmail.com. We're usually streaming every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, sometimes Wednesday there, twitch.tv/afternoon tune. Typically 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Central Standard Time there. I won't be here this Friday, but Nick, my co-host, and Dust, my co-host, will be stepping in there. They'll be taking over the show. They'll be doing a review for Alien Romulus. They'll be doing a review for that. I think that's the only big movie coming out this week is Alien Romulus. they'll be doing that. So yeah,
Hopefully
look
they
out.
get their Zenus popcorn buckets.
Yeah, there's that. That popcorn bucket, they can get that. Hopefully, I get my hands on that one. Hopefully, when I go to my back home to my city, maybe I can go to the theater, get that Alien Romulus popcorn bucket. That one looks pretty cool there. Um, yeah, and I wonder if they're gonna sell those maybe like xenomorph, maybe plushies or something like that. That'd be cool if they sold those at the theater. Are you gonna
Hey,
get the
they've been
pop?
merchandised before. If I see it, I will get it. It's going
uh,
right in Wolverine's mouth. I'll tell you that right now.
so these are the popcorn buckets right here. Not a very convenient way to eat popcorn, but it looks cool. Looks really cool there. And this is at the I think where is this? The Regal?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, the Regal. So like different ones have yeah, different popcorn buckets that you can go and get there. Um, yeah, so get that. So yeah, they're gonna be doing that. And I'll let people know what stream that we're gonna be doing after that. Once I come back there, just follow us on all the social medias to make sure to stay intact with that. YouTube.com, the afternoon tune as well. I don't know if you or Ulysses had anybody that's on right now that I could
Oh,
raid
I can
there.
definitely check here. Let's see. So the only person I have right now on my end is Ash versus Evil Bread.
Okay, go ahead, give them a raid here. Um, do. And thank you, Ulysses. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Rampage, for stopping by. Very much appreciated there. I'm gonna be sending you over to Ash versus Evil Bread there. She's playing Dark and Deep. Is what she's doing over there. Have you ever heard that game?
I have not.
Okay, well, it's a new game there, Dark and Deep. There, like my soul is. All right, people. Yeah, thanks to Sage there. Hoping to see him next Wednesday. We're gonna be doing another other arc of Hunter x Hunter, and no video game reviews for a minute. After that.
Yeah, I think we tapped the well for the moment.
Yeah, but by then, maybe give a first initial impressions on Black Myth. That would be already be out by
Sure.
then, so you can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, people. Stay tuned. All right.